Chapter 2378 started fishing again. Yun Chujio sighed and comforted him, "Uncle, don't be sad. We will go out sooner or later." The people in the canteen laughed bitterly. One of them said self-deprecatingly, "Little girl, just give up. There is only one kind of people who go out, and that is dead people." Yun Chujio had a frightened look on her face. "It can't be, right? Then what if they get sick and can't work? Then they'll be killed immediately. How could they waste their pills on us? A good brother of mine was killed just because he got sick." The person who spoke sounded a little choked. "They simply don't treat us as human beings. Don't tell me we can only wait here to die. Are you guys willing to do that?" Yun Chujio stomped her feet and said unwillingly. "So what if I'm not willing to do that? The Fan family is a super aristocratic family. They can be said to be able to cover the sky with one hand. Even if we manage to escape, we will still be caught in the end. Moreover, we won't be able to avoid a beating. Moreover, this place is heavily guarded. Even if we want to escape, we won't be able to escape." "That might not be the case." "Forget it," I'm just casually saying. "You guys continue to chat and don't bother about me." Yun Chujio acted as if she had let the cat out of the bag and didn't say anything else. Shui Wuji and Jin Ji looked at each other. This guy had started fishing again. As expected, those people were not willing to let it go. They were like drowning people. Even if someone from above threw down a straw, they would not let it go. "Little girl, do you have a way to escape?" "Yes, little girl. We are all bound by the same fate. If you have a way, hurry up and tell us. We promise that it will not be leaked. If you don't believe me, I swear right now that if I tell anyone about what happened today, my soul will scatter and I will die a horrible death." "Yes, I swear too." "Aya. You uncles are really too honest. Why did you swear? How could I not believe you?" Yun Chujio said with some embarrassment. The corners of Shui Wuji and Jin Ji's mouths twitched. "If you are sincere, don't wait until the other party has finished swearing." Hypocrite. Those people were in a hurry to find a way to escape, so they couldn't care less about these things. They all stared at Yun Chujio with eager eyes. "Uncles, don't stop. Walk forward normally. Otherwise, you will attract the attention of the guards." Yun Chujio saw that someone was looking in their direction and hurriedly said to the crowd. The crowd continued to walk forward. Yun Chujio lowered her voice and said, "Uncles, although the Fan family is a super aristocratic family, I heard that there is more than one super aristocratic family. Moreover, the relationship between them is not compatible with each other, especially the Chow family. They have always been archenemies with the Fan family. If we can escape, we will just go to the Chow family." One of them shook his head and said, "Little girl, you are really naive. We are at most the lowest level of guards. Will the Chow family fall out with the Fan family for us? If we just go, the Chow family will naturally not protect us. But what if we bring a large amount of spirit stones? Because we have nowhere else to go but the Chow family. There is no doubt about our loyalty. The Chow family has both earned money and expanded their own power. Why not?" Yun Chujio's face was smiling, but in her heart, she was ruthless. That bastard Fan Mingchuan wanted her life. HMPH, he'll let you taste the taste of losing both people and money. The few people in the canteen did not speak for a while. They were considering the feasibility of what Yun Chujio said. Chapter 2379 came to mind. Yun Chujio did not urge them. She knew that these people would definitely agree because they could only wait for death here. It was better to take a gamble. Where there was oppression, there would be resistance. Since ancient times, it was the same principle. Especially when the oppression reached a certain level. Once someone rose up, there would be a response. Sure enough, after a while. Someone said, "What this little girl said is not unreasonable. It's just that there is a way out. How can we escape? Although we can deal with these guards together, the Fan family is not far from here. Once we receive the news, they will send people to support us. Our previous efforts will be in vain. Then let them not have the chance to send a message to the Fan family. Not everyone can communicate with the Fan family, right? Yun Chujio asked. Only a few small leaders can communicate with the Fan family. Are you saying that we will launch a surprise attack? But even if it is a surprise attack, they still have the chance to call for help. Leave this matter to us. What you need to do is to contact those miners. You must make them swear a poison oath before you talk about this matter. If it is leaked, it will be a fatal disaster. Do you understand? Yun Chujio stopped laughing, she said seriously. The people in the canteen were suddenly shocked. They felt that the little girl in front of them was really unpredictable. One moment she was naive and romantic, the next moment she became sly and clever, and now she became fierce and stern. Oh right, the two who came with us are not reliable. There is no need to contact them, Yun Chujio added after thinking for a while. The two people had not suffered any hardships, so they must still be feeling lucky. Such people were not reliable. After discussing the details, they returned to the canteen. Due to the delay on the way back, they naturally received a scolding from the canteen manager. That afternoon, Yun Chujio recalled the old man as she lit the fire. Where had she seen him before? She had a photographic memory. If she had seen him before, she would remember him. Then, she had seen someone who looked like him before. Images of people flashed through Yun Chujio's mind. Finally, Yun Chujio's eyes lit up. She remembered who the old man looked like. Zi Heng. The potential stock she invested in was the spirit master Yen she had met in the Gue Yuan sect, Zi Heng. Back then, Zi Heng's mother, grandson, and aunt had never mentioned Zi Heng's family. Could it be that the old man was Zi Heng's grandfather? The more Yun Chujio thought about it, the more likely it was. That old man was probably also spiritual master Yen. Otherwise, he would not have such a big reaction when he saw her. He must have calculated something. Then, back then, he shamelessly begged for food at the entrance of the mine. Could it be that he had calculated that he would meet her here? Yun Chujio was slightly excited. Although spiritual master Yen was not as abnormal as Iron Mouth, he could still predict the basic luck, misfortune, and fortune. Since the old man dared to come in, it meant that their operation this time would be very smooth. In the next 2 days, the few people in the canteen began to work in tandem. Although the miners worked until late at night every day, they still had 6 hours of rest time, so they used this time to communicate with each other. These people had been suppressed to the extreme, like dry firewood. As long as there was a tiny bit of flame, it would ignite. Who would still want to die when there was hope for life? Therefore, in just 2 days, all the miners in the Spirit Stone mine agreed to Yun Chujio's plan. Only the old man and the strong man did not interact with the others, so no one informed them. Chapter 2380 was the start of the operation. During dinner, everything was as usual. However, those who paid attention would notice that some miners' hands were slightly trembling, and some people's expressions were faintly showing excitement. The burly man seemed to be rough, but he was as meticulous as hair. He moved closer to the old man and was about to speak, but the old man shook his head. The burly man had no choice but to hold back his words. The few leaders gathered together to eat because their meals were all prepared separately by the small stove. Tonight's meal was exceptionally sumptuous. Everyone giggled and thanked the canteen manager. The canteen manager didn't pay attention to the dishes when he was preparing dinner. Now that he saw that the dishes were so sumptuous, he couldn't help but curse in his heart. These wastrels actually made so many delicious dishes. These were all his spirit stones. However, since they had already made them, he couldn't ask them to take them away. He could only grit his teeth and say, everyone has worked hard recently. This banquet is my treat. A few of the leaders laughed and exchanged a few pleasantries. One of them even took out a wine jug and said, it's a pity that such a good meal doesn't match the wine. Come, drink less. It's fine. Everyone had not touched alcohol for a long time, so they did not object. Everyone began to eat and drink. When Yun Chujio brought the people from the canteen to the shed, the people inside were already drunk. They thought that it was because of the alcohol, but in reality, it was because of the netherworld and the food that had taken effect. Yun Chujio did not say anything. She gave them a look, and everyone rushed forward to send them on their way. The people from the canteen did not expect things to go so smoothly. They killed all these people just like that. Why did it feel like a dream? Yun Chujio took off the storage rings of the leaders and found a few tokens from them. She handed them to them and said, follow the plan. Don't leave any guards alive. Don't touch the old man and the big man. They are not a hindrance to us. Yes. Everyone split up and began to move. Yun Chujio and the other two led the remaining people straight to the mining area. Yun Chujio had already observed that the Fan family would only come to collect the ores once every month. Therefore, there was a large piece of empty land in the mining area that was filled with the mined spiritual stone ores. Although the spiritual stone ores were not finished products, they could be considered as spiritual stones in the market after a little processing. It could be said that the ores were money. Yun Chujio was well aware of the bad nature of people. There was a possibility that someone would take advantage of the chaos and take the spiritual stones for themselves. Then, the matter of the people defecting to the Chao family would be wasted. Therefore, Yun Chujio and the other two brought the people from the canteen to collect the spiritual stones and ores first. Of course, there were people guarding the spiritual stones and ores. However, because they felt that these miners did not have the courage to resist or steal the spiritual stones, they only arranged 5 people to guard the spiritual stones and ores. Among the 5 people, 3 of them had already rested, and only 2 of them were yawning and chatting. Yun Chujio and the others took care of the 5 people without much effort. Yun Chujio put all the ores into her storage ring. Everyone, don't worry. Once the obstacles are cleared, I will distribute the spiritual stones and ores equally to everyone. Otherwise, someone will be greedy and ruin our plan. Seeing that Yun Chujio had said so much, the people in the canteen naturally couldn't say anything more. At this time, the sounds of killing could be heard everywhere, and everyone began to take action. There was almost no suspense about the process and the result. The number of miners here was more than 100 times that of the guards. In the past, they only dared not to resist because they were intimidated by the threat of the Fan family. But now, once they erupted, their destructive power was astonishing. In just over an hour, the miners had completely taken control of the Spirit Stone mine. Chapter 2381 moved away half of the mine. Yun Chujio gathered everyone together and divided the Spirit Stone mine equally according to what she said. Then, she said, now, you guys rush to the Chao family. You guys go first. I want to clean up the aftermath here and delay the time when the Fan family finds out. Everyone now wished they could immediately leave this killing den. After saying a few polite words, they all left. Little Jiu, if we don't run now, what are we going to do? Jin Ji asked in confusion. Yun Chujio ignored her and shouted instead, my 2 friends, you can come out now. They have all left. Jin Ji and Xue Wuji were stunned. Was this guy crazy? The little girl is indeed smart. No wonder she is not fated. The old man and the brawny man walked out. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Let's talk slowly. Let me get some compensation for the mental damage first. Yun Chujio handed the supreme-grade burst talisman in her storage ring to the other 4 people. Blow it up. Don't be afraid of wasting it. Blow up as many as you can. You can't be a fire-burning girl for nothing. The four people looked at the dozens of sacks of supreme-grade burst talismans on the ground. Was this what she meant by cleaning up the mess? Was this what she meant by cleaning up the mess? Was this what she meant by stirring up a hornet's nest? What are you waiting for? Hurry up. If I don't move half of the spirit stone mine today, my surname won't be Wang. Yun Chujio rolled up her sleeves and picked up a sack of super-grade burst amulets as she walked to the side and began to play tricks. Ah, exploding the mine. The corners of Xue Wuji and Jin Ji's eyes twitched violently. Please, your surname wasn't Wang in the first place, okay? Although they weren't greedy, they would be fools if they didn't grasp such a good opportunity to make a fortune. Besides, that fellow actually dared to do this. He must have a way to escape. Thus, Xue Wuji and Jin Ji also picked up a few sacks of talismans and started to blow up the mine on the other side. Benefactor, what should we do? The brawny man asked the old man with a dumbfounded look. The old man's eyes twitched. Let's help together. I reckon that the little girl won't leave until we get more spirit ores. Thus, everyone began to frantically mine. The reason why the Fan family had been using manpower to mine was because if they used talismans to mine, the losses would be too great. However, Yun Chujio and the others did not care about this. With a sack of talismans, they could blow up many large pieces of spirit stones. It was enough for manpower to mine for a year. Yun Chujio knew that such a huge commotion would easily attract the Fan family's people, so her operation was very rough and barbaric. She did not care about sustainable development, nor did she care about making the best use of everything. In any case, it was a business where she could just take a handful and leave. Why did she care so much? In less than an hour, almost half of the Fan family's mines had been stored into Yun Chujio's storage ring. This fellow waved his hand and said, "Stop, I'm not a greedy person. It's enough." The other four people only had one sentence in their hearts to say to her, "Shameless. Aren't you greedy? You've emptied half of the Fan family's mines, aren't you greedy? Senior, what should we do next?" Yun Chujio asked the old man with a smile. The old man was confused and pointed at himself. You're asking me? Of course. If it weren't for you here, would I dare to stay and make a fortune? Hurry up, which direction is safe for us to escape to? Yun Chujio thought to herself. With a talent like Spirit Master Yen, she wouldn't need him. Would she keep him as a decoration? The old man had no choice but to close his eyes and keep calculating with his fingers. Then he said, "We are going north. Only the north has a chance of survival." Chapter 2382, Zhang Family Head. The spirit stone mine was lost. Yun Chujio didn't waste any time and directly summoned the flying spirit tool. Everyone got on the flying spirit tool and flew towards the north. Of course, before Yun Chujio left, she also gave a big gift to the Fan family, which was that this guy poured rapeseed oil on the sheds and then lit them on fire. This guy was afraid that the fire was not big enough, so he got a lot of firewood from his storage ring and poured rapeseed oil on the ground to light them up. This guy even shook his head and said, "I took a little bit of the Fan family's ore and gave them a big fireworks display. That's all." Xue Wuji and the other three thought that the Fan family would probably be so angry that they would vomit blood. Xue Wuji and Jin Ji finally understood why Yun Chujio let them take the disguise pill and why she made up three names so casually. It turned out that they were preparing for this moment. Moreover, those miners had gone to the Chow family. The Fan family would definitely blame the Chow family for this. The Chow family would naturally not admit to half of the mine. Then, the Chow family and the Fan family would definitely fight to the death again, and she, the main culprit, would be safe and sound. If one word could be used to describe it, damaged. Two words could be used to describe it, really damaged. Three words could be used to describe it, too damaged. 15 minutes later, the members of the Fan family arrived at the mine. Although the Fan family was nearly 100 li away from the mine, they could still hear the faint sound of the explosion in the middle of the night. Bai Li and the other members of the Fan family were shocked. The head of the Fan family immediately sent people to contact the leaders of the mine, but they were shocked to find that the sound transmission talisman could not be sent out. This meant that something had happened to those people. The Spirit Stone mine was the support of the Fan family, so no one dared to neglect it. The important figures of the Fan family hurriedly flew to the mine on their flying spirit tools. On the way, they saw the fire in the mine soaring into the sky. Their heads buzzed. Something must have happened. By the time the Fan family arrived, the fire had already spread. That was for sure. With the help of the rapeseed oil, it would be strange if the fire did not grow strong. A certain Jiao was born to be a fire girl, so she knew best how to light a fire. The Fan family members quickly put out the fire. The Fan family had already prepared for the worst, which was that the miners would escape with the ores that had already been mined. However, they felt that it was still bearable. After all, those people wouldn't be able to escape from their grasp. Once they were captured, the Spirit Stone mine would naturally be found. As for the destroyed sheds and the dead guards, it did not matter. As long as there was a Spirit Stone mine, there would be an endless supply of Spirit Stones. They would just have to rebuild or recruit more guards. However, when the fire was extinguished, the leader of the Fan family's guards almost crawled in front of the head of the Fan family. Family head, something has happened. The head of the Fan family wished he could kick him away. Wasn't this nonsense? If nothing happened, why would they come here in the middle of the night? The leader of the guards finally managed to reorganize his words. Family head, the Spirit Stone mine has been lost. This is already within my expectations. The mined ores will naturally be stolen by the miners. You are the leader of the guards, how can you be so useless in the face of such a situation? The head of the Fan family said unhappily. The head of the guards was about to cry, family head, it's not the mined ores, it's the mine. Half of the mine has been stolen. Nonsense. How can a perfectly fine mine be stolen? Could it be that the mine has legs? A young master of the Fan family scoffed. The head of the Fan family also frowned. He felt that this was impossible, but when he thought of the explosion he heard earlier, he immediately had a bad feeling. Chapter 2383, Godlike Assistance. The head of the Fan family kicked away the head of the guards and quickly leaped toward the mining area. Almost half of the mine was gone, and the ground was full of shattered spirit stones and mineral powder. The spirit stones and mineral powder alone were worth tens of millions of high-grade spirit stones. The head of the Fan family felt a stuffy feeling in his chest, and he spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. The members of the Fan family immediately became chaotic and rushed to rescue the head of the Fan family. The head of the Fan family was only in a moment of anger. He quickly regained consciousness. He did not care about his identity and almost howled, "Bring those damn miners back immediately. We must get the ores back. Grandfather, these spiritual stone mines should have been blown up by someone using talismans. Moreover, it seems that the power of the talismans is not small. It is impossible for those miners to have so many high-level talismans. I guess it is not that simple." Fan Mingchuan checked the scene and said. If Yun Chuzhou knew that Fan Mingchuan said so, she would probably reward him with a big chicken leg. What a smart ass. The head of the Fan family nodded. What Mingchuan said makes sense. There might be the Chao family's handiwork here. That old man Chao Menghai has been eyeing our spiritual stone mines like a tiger eyeing its prey. On one hand, search for the traces of those miners. On the other hand, pay attention to the actions of the Chao family. On the other side, a certain Jiao was busy running away. This fellow had never felt that the storage ring was so full. Emma, other than the Spirit Stone Mine, there was also the Spirit Stone Mine. It was not in vain for her to be a burning servant for a few days. Ever since he got on the flying spirit tool, that old man had wanted to find an opportunity to speak to Yunchujio. However, a certain Jiao had always been in a state of excitement. She kept chattering, and he did not have the chance to speak at all. Even if the old man managed to interject, he would immediately be led astray by Yunchujio. He did not have the chance to say what he wanted to say at all. A faint light flashed in Yunchujio's eyes. Little fellow, before they escaped safely, she would not let the old man find out what she wanted to know from her. Yunchujio took out the map and looked at it. The Xingtian Academy was in the northeast direction of the Fan family. This did not conflict with their current escape route. They only needed to escape a certain distance before heading east. Yunchujio was very confident. Spirit Master Yen was not a joke. If he said that it was safe to run north, then it was definitely safe. Just as Yunchujio was bubbling with beauty, Shui Wuji cried out in alarm, "There's someone blocking the way ahead. I wonder if it's someone from the Fan family. What should we do?" Yunchujio looked through the observation window and saw a few black spots in the distance. She could vaguely make out that they were several flying spirit tools. Yunchujio frowned. They were probably a subsidiary force of the Fan family. After they received the notice, they had stopped and checked. Since the Fan family had sent people to stop them, they probably had relevant information sent to them. The three of them were easy to fool. However, this old man and the strong man had probably been on the list for a long time, so they could be easily discovered. "Old man, didn't you say that the north is safe? What should we do now? The recognition of the two of you is too high." "You will definitely be recognized," Yunchujio said to the old man. The old man's face stiffened. He clearly said that there was a chance of survival, okay? How did it become foolproof in her mouth? "Little girl, I just have a question to ask you. As long as you tell me the answer, the two of us will immediately leave on the flying spirit tool and help you distract those people," the old man said sincerely. "Pooey. What you said sounded nice. Those people are not fools. Can't they see that this is a diversion? This way, our situation will be even more dangerous. You must think of a way to let us leave safely. Otherwise, I will not answer your question." Yunchujio twisted her neck, she curled her lips and said. Chapter 2384 was a great bargain. The old man's face was a little unnatural. He didn't mean it that way, but what the little girl said made sense. He could only close his eyes and start to calculate. After a while, the old man opened his eyes. His face was a little pale. Apparently, this calculation had consumed a lot of spirit energy and physical strength. "Little girl, it's really difficult for us to get through this place safely unless we take a detour by water. By Li to the east is the Chenlong River. It's said that there are many high-level aquatic demon beasts inside, and they are prohibited from flying. We can't even use talismans. By water? Anyway, I have a boat, so let's take the water. The demon beasts are much cuter than the Fan family." Yunchujio waved her claws and signaled Shui Wuji to fly in the direction of the Chenlong River. Although the people on the flying spirit tools in the distance had already seen Yunchujio's flying spirit tools from afar, they didn't care too much when they saw that they had changed their direction. Anyway, there were people intercepting them on the ground and in the sky. If they were the people that the Fan family wanted to capture, they wouldn't be able to escape. After a quarter of an hour, Yunchujio and the others landed on the bank of the Chenlong River. No one had set up an ambush here. This was because the people nearby knew that flying was prohibited near the Chenlong River. They could only fly by taking a detour. Yunchujio looked up and saw that the surface of the Chenlong River was very wide. Moreover, it was moving in the east-west direction. They only needed to follow the current down and get out of the Fan family's sphere of influence before going ashore. Then, they could take a detour back to Xingtian Academy. However, when she swept her gaze across the three big words, Chenlong River, on the stone tablet that was erected at the side, her heart was filled with anger. Her mother's name was Yilan, but this river was called Chenlong River. It was really fucking unlucky. When Yun Chuzhou thought of this, she kicked the stone tablet. Yun Chuzhou thought that the stone tablet must be very strong, so she used all her strength. Unexpectedly, this stone tablet might have been older than time. When Yun Chuzhou kicked it, the stone tablet was immediately knocked over. A certain Jiu who was miserable almost fell to the ground because she used too much strength. Shui Wuji and the others almost laughed out loud. Was this guy crazy? Why did he kick the stone tablet for no reason? A certain Jiu felt very embarrassed. She took out her large kitchen knife and started to cut the stone tablet. Alright, this guy already subconsciously thought that the large kitchen knife could cut anything. A cut was made on the stone tablet. Just as Yun Chuzhou was about to continue cutting, she realized that the center of the stone tablet was actually hollow. There seemed to be something hidden inside. Yun Chuzhou's eyes lit up. This fortune could not be blocked even if it came. Could it be that there was a treasure map inside? Yun Chuzhou carefully cut the stone tablet in half and saw a beautiful jade box inside. Yun Chuzhou was extremely excited. The box was so beautiful. There must be a treasure map or some good treasure inside. This guy excitedly opened the jade box and could not help but be disappointed when he saw what was inside. It was not a treasure map, but a water-repellent bead. The old man exclaimed, "Oh my God! It's the legendary water-repellent bead. Little girl, you've gotten a great deal." Yun Chuzhou forced a smile, thinking that she had plenty of this damn thing. Moreover, this one was white, and she had a red one in her hand. Even the water-repellent bead in Shui Wuji and Jin Ji's hands was much bigger than this one, so the two could only pretend to be surprised and agree at the side. The two thought to themselves, not everyone can pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. They clearly have something good in their hands, but they can't show it off. It's really painful. Chapter 2385 was indeed related to Ziheng. Under the envious gazes of the old man and the burly man, Yun Chuzhou casually put the jade box into her storage ring. This guy rolled his eyes and put the stone tablet that was about to break into his storage ring so that no one would discover it. Then, he summoned a large ship and called everyone onto it. After getting on the ship, Jin Ji asked Yun Chuzhou in a low voice, "Why did you destroy that stone tablet? The name of Chenlong River is not good. I got angry just by looking at it, so I kicked it away." Yun Chuzhou said indifferently. Jin Ji reacted for a long time before she understood the reason why Yun Chuzhou did not like Chenlong River. The corner of her mouth could not help but twitch. Chenlong River had existed for hundreds of thousands of years. How old was Yilan? This guy was simply venting his anger. Shui Wuji and the big man took turns to operate the spiritual boat in the cockpit. The old man then asked Yun Chuzhou, "Little girl, can you answer my question now? Although it's not safe yet, I see that you're quite anxious. Then you ask, and I'll try my best to answer you," Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Although the old man had always been calm and composed, it seemed that after meeting this little girl, he could not remain calm. Every word this guy said made him so angry that he stared at her. The old man calmed his mind and then asked, "Little girl, how did you find out that I'm a spirit master Yen? Have you met someone who looks like me before?" The first question is meaningless. I will directly answer your second question. I once saved a young man. He should be 16 or 17 this year. His appearance is 70% similar to yours. He is a spirit master Yen. Although the old man had already guessed a little, he was still trembling with excitement. Then where is he? Is he okay? He shouldn't be a big problem at the moment, but you also know that you spirit masters Yen have seen through the heavenly secrets and will naturally be punished. His spiritual sense is unstable. Although I gave him some pills to temporarily control it, I'm afraid that he won't be able to live for long. Where is he? I have a way to save him. I'll go and save him. The old man said anxiously. Who are you to him? He is my man. I have to be responsible for him. Yun Chujio looked at the old man vigilantly. The old man was stunned at first, then he looked at Yun Chujio suspiciously. He gritted his teeth and said, "Are you two engaged or married?" "Granddaughter-in-law, I am your grandfather." Jin Ji almost burst out laughing at the side. Yun Chujio's face stiffened. "What granddaughter-in-law? He is just my subordinate. You are his grandfather. Make a poison oath first and say that you will never harm me or your grandson. Only then will I tell you where he is." The old man rubbed his hands awkwardly and then made a poison vow. He could not wait to continue asking, "Little girl, I've already made a poison vow. Quickly tell me where he is." "His name is Ziheng and he's currently in the Temple of Immortals on the Tian Yuan continent. His and his mother's lives were saved by me. Don't you want to express your gratitude?" Yun Chujio looked at the old man with a smile. The old man really wanted to roar at her. "You have already emptied half of the Fan clan's spirit stone mine, what more do you want to express? You are so greedy, be careful of being struck by lightning." Just as the old man was about to give Yun Chujio some benefits, he heard Yun Chujio say with a smile, "Old man, I am joking with you. When you go to look for Ziheng in the future, you can also help me to tell him that I am safe." The old man nodded, thinking that it was not so easy to go to the Tian Yuan continent. He had to plan carefully. At this moment, the strong man in the cockpit ran up, "Benefactor. Not good. It seems that a high-level aquatic demon beast is coming from afar." Yun Chujio and the others arrived on the deck and saw a water line rapidly approaching from afar. Judging from the dorsal fin that was exposed above the water surface, the demon beast must be very huge. "I'll go down and take a look. You guys wait for my news," Yun Chujio said and jumped into the water. The old man and the brawny man were confused. Was this little girl crazy? Wasn't she going to die? On the boat, they still had some advantages. After all, there were many people. If she went into the water, wouldn't she be sending herself to her death? Jin Ji was also a bit worried, but she knew that Yun Chujio had always been good at dealing with demon beasts. Perhaps she could have an unexpected effect. She would wait and see. After Yun Chujio jumped into the water, she activated the water repellent bead and swam toward the direction of the water beast like a small fish. When she was close enough, she could see clearly that it was a level 40 bloodthirsty finless porpoise, which was equivalent to a human cultivator at the 6th layer of the spiritual void tier. It was on par with the fire-eating Shio that Yun Chujio had encountered previously. If she were to fight it head-on, Yun Chujio would naturally not be able to defeat this behemoth. Moreover, this fellow did not intend to fight it head-on. The old man, Spirit Master Yen, had said that there were many high-level water beasts in the Chenlong River. It was just right to find an escort to avoid trouble during the voyage in the future. This bloodthirsty finless porpoise's grade was just right. Yun Chujio took out a long white cloth from her storage ring and waved it in her hand. "Master Finless Porpoise, don't do anything yet. I'm here to die." The bloodthirsty finless porpoise had swam over to try something new because it had discovered that a boat was approaching. After all, the reputation of the Chenlong River was notorious. Almost no humans would come near it. However, when it saw Yun Chujio and the white cloth in her hand, it was still a little dumbfounded. Were the humans nowadays so enlightened? They actually took the initiative to jump down and give it to eat. It was said that humans were the most insidious race. There must be something wrong with her taking the initiative. Either she was used as bait, and there were powerful people waiting to catch it. Or she was already poisoned. As long as it ate her, it would die. The bloodthirsty finless porpoise instantly came up with a lot of conspiracies and tricks. When it looked at the white strip of cloth in Yunchujia's hands, it felt like it was a life-threatening rope. The more it thought about it, the more scared it became. It simply turned around and ran away. Yunchujio, this fellow instantly had a sense of confusion. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Come on, shouldn't she be the one who turned around and ran away? Could it be that this white cloth had a deterrent effect on aquatic demon beasts? She had never heard of it. Yunchujio was still planning to let this bloodthirsty finless porpoise be her guard. Hence, she waved the white cloth from behind and shouted loudly, "Lord Finless Porpoise, don't go. I'm really here to die. Listen to me." When the bloodthirsty finless porpoise heard Yunchujia's shout, it instantly swam even faster. It was abnormal, too abnormal. There must be a conspiracy. She had never heard of humans wanting to die so much, and the thing in her hand must be some spirit tool. No, immortal tool, it was too terrifying. How could Yunchujio be faster than the bloodthirsty porpoise? She watched helplessly as the bloodthirsty porpoise disappeared from her sight. Yunchujio put away the white cloth strip with a dumbfounded look on her face. Then, she floated to the surface of the water and boarded the big boat. The old man, Jinji, and the others found that the demonic beast was swimming away quickly. They couldn't help but be very puzzled. After seeing Yunchujio, they asked in puzzlement, what happened? Why did that demonic beast run away? Yunchujio spread her hands helplessly. I also want to know. I just said something, and it turned around and ran away. Do I look so scary to the beast? Yunchujio immediately recounted what had happened. Even if the old man was a spirit master Yen, he still couldn't come up with a reason. Perhaps that bloodthirsty finless porpoise had something urgent and changed its mind? It seemed that only this explanation could make sense. That bloodthirsty porpoise was a level 40 aquatic demon beast. It couldn't possibly be afraid of a little girl at the 3rd level of the Lingxian realm, right? What Yunchujio didn't know was that on the way the bloodthirsty finless porpoise escaped, it encountered some aquatic demon beasts. When those aquatic demon beasts saw that the bloodthirsty finless porpoise was running for its life, they couldn't help but panic. Could it be that there were some high-level demon beasts chasing after it? Thus, they all followed it and ran. When the bloodthirsty finless porpoise saw that those demon beasts were also running for their lives, it was even more certain that the human little girl wasn't simple. Otherwise, why would these demon beasts also run for their lives? It had to be said that this was a wonderful misunderstanding. For 2 days in a row, Yunchujio and the others did not encounter even a low-level demon beast, let alone a high-level aquatic demon beast. It was as if the Chenlan River had turned into an empty river in an instant. Yunchujio looked at the old man with a look of disdain. Didn't you say that there are many high-level aquatic demon beasts in the Chenlan River? Why is there nothing except for that bloodthirsty finless porpoise that is not in good spirits? The old man was also very puzzled. Did something happen to the aquatic demon beasts in the Chenlan River? Were they all extinct? This situation did not change until they left the territory of the bloodthirsty finless porpoise. Some low-level aquatic demon beasts began to appear. However, these low-level aquatic demon beasts felt the pressure released by the crowd and did not dare to go forward to harass them until a waterline swam over from afar. The old man exclaimed, "Do you see the flashing electric arcs? It's the bloodthirsty electric eel. This is bad." The bloodthirsty electric eel is the most troublesome aquatic demon beast in the Chenlan River. It can discharge electricity and has a fierce temperament. Before the old man could finish his words, he heard a thump. A certain Geo had already jumped into the water impatiently and dived into the water in the blink of an eye. The old man was so anxious that he stomped his feet. Nonsense. What nonsense? That's the bloodthirsty electric eel. Isn't she going to die? Jean Ji did not make a sound. That fellow loved lightning the most. If the bloodthirsty electric eel met her, it was not necessarily someone who was unlucky. The reason why Yun Chujio could not wait was to test the power of the white cloth strips. Although this fellow also felt that it was a little unbelievable, he had to have a dream. What if it came true? Therefore, the fellow went into the water and began to wave the white cloth strip at the bloodthirsty electric eel that was swimming over in the distance. He shouted, "Master Electric Eel, don't do anything yet. I'm here to die." The bloodthirsty electric eel saw the white cloth strip in Yun Chujia's hand and then heard Yun Chujia's shout. It was also confused. Was this little girl sick? However, the bloodthirsty electric eel was obviously more courageous than the bloodthirsty finless porpoise. It felt that it could shoot electric arcs, so it was fearless. It looked at Yun Chujio with disdain and shot an electric arc at Yun Chujio. Fuck. So the white cloth strip was not working. It seemed that the bloodthirsty dolphin was really mentally ill. Yun Chujia's mind was only thinking about the white cloth strip, so she did not dodge at all. She was hit by the electric arc. The bloodthirsty electric eel saw this, and the disdain in its eyes became even more intense. It seemed that this little girl was really mentally ill. She did not even know how to dodge. If this electric arc were to go down, she would be electrocuted and faint. At that time, it would be able to satisfy its craving. It had not eaten a human for a long time. "108 ways of eating humans" flashed through the mind of the electric eel. Then, it was stunned to find that the little girl in front of it was still alive and well, muttering. "Is this white cloth strip really useless? Why don't we try again? Hey! Little Loach, do you see the white cloth strip in my hand? This is the famous spirit summoning banner. If you don't want to die, quickly establish a temporary contract with me." Yun Chujio waved the white cloth strip at the electric eel, she said arrogantly. Although the bloodthirsty electric eel was a level 40 aquatic demon beast, Yun Chujio was really not afraid of it because the biggest attack method of the bloodthirsty electric eel was the electric arc. This was just a joke to Yun Chujio. How could the electric arc of the bloodthirsty electric eel be as powerful as the heavenly thunder? If you have the ability, why don't you try firing the electric arc for 10 hours? How could the bloodthirsty electric eel know that the guy in front of it was a pervert? It was angered by Yun Chujio's words and fired another electric arc at Yun Chujio. It originally thought that this electric arc would definitely stun the stupid girl in front of it. However, the ideal was plump, but the reality was bony. This electric arc did not stun the little girl, instead, it made her even more arrogant. "Hey, little Loach, have you not eaten? How dare you call yourself an electric eel?" Yun Chujio had one hand on her waist and the other hand was waving the white cloth strip. The bloodthirsty electric eel had never been provoked and ridiculed like this. Even the higher-level demon beasts did not dare to provoke it. Today, it was ridiculed by a weak human chicken. One could imagine how angry it was. Therefore, the bloodthirsty electric eel seemed to have gone crazy and desperately fired electric arcs at Yun Chujio. "Oh my, this small electric current is so comfortable to hit my body. It's like a spring breeze. Come again. Little Loach, it's not that I want to criticize you, but how did you survive in the Chenlon River with such a weak chicken like you? How did a trash like you not get eaten by other demon beasts? Are they all vegetarians? Come on. Continue to electrocute me. Anyway, we have a lot of time. Let's have fun together." If the bloodthirsty electric eel could spit out blood, it would probably have already emptied its blood slot. It was too fucking an air beast. In a moment of anger, the bloodthirsty electric eel started to discharge electricity desperately. This fellow was also blinded by anger. You should have been more careful. In the end, not only did the electricity run out, but it also used up too much of its spiritual power and directly turned white. Jin Ji, the old man, and the others were watching nervously on the deck. They saw the electric arcs in the distance flashing non-stop. The old man kept muttering, "It's over. It's over. This little girl is really impulsive." The old man had the intention to go down and save her, but he and the brawny man both had fire spirit roots. It would be useless even if he went down. The old man was very dissatisfied with Jin Ji and Shui Wuji. These two young men and the little girl seemed to have a good relationship. Why were they standing there in a daze and didn't know how to save her? Jin Ji didn't know what the old man was thinking. She even comforted the old man, "Don't worry, little Jiao will be fine." Just as the old man was about to refute Jin Ji, he heard the big man next to him cry out in surprise, "Benefactor, look! The bloodthirsty electric eel has turned white." The old man looked up and saw a huge bloodthirsty electric eel floating on the water with its white belly. There was a splash of water beside it, and a little girl poked her head out. Who else could it be but Yun Chuzhou? Yun Chuzhou saw that the bloodthirsty electric eel had used up too much of its spiritual power and fainted. She could not help but twitch her lips. No matter how smart this demon beast was, it was still a little bit inferior to a human. Naturally, this guy would not let go of such a great opportunity. He forcibly established a temporary contract with the bloodthirsty electric eel. Although the bloodthirsty electric eel fainted, its spiritual sense was still clear. When it realized that Yun Chuzhou wanted to establish a temporary contract with it, it refused in its heart. It was a magnificent level 40 aquatic demon beast, but it actually established a temporary contract with a level 3 Ling Xian chicken. Wouldn't it make the beast laugh its head off? Unfortunately, no matter how unwilling it was, it could only let Yun Chuzhou establish a temporary contract with it. Fortunately, what Yun Chuzhou established with it was only a temporary contract. If Yun Chuzhou were to forcefully establish a master pet contract with it, the bloodthirsty electric eel would rather fight to the death than reject it. After a moment, the contract was completed. Yun Chuzhou ignored the bloodthirsty electric eel and swam towards the direction of the big ship happily. The old man's face was stiff. Contract? Contract with a level 40 electric eel just like that? How? How was this possible? After Yun Chuzhou jumped onto the ship, she said with a smile, "This is good. We have the little loach to escort us. The journey will be much smoother." The old man opened his mouth and finally said, "How? How did it faint?" It probably liked the white cloth strip and kept firing electricity at it. Finally, when the electricity was gone, it fainted. Maybe it has been single for many years and felt that the white cloth strip fit the image of its dream lover. Yun Chuzhou took out the white cloth strip and waved it a few times. The bloodthirsty electric eel, which had just woken up, turned white again. It really did not want to wake up again. It did not want to face that pervert again, and did not want to face the cruel world. The corner of the old man's mouth twitched. No wonder he could not calculate the fate of this little girl. It turned out that she was a little pervert who did not follow common sense. Although the bloodthirsty electric eel did not want to wake up, but Yun Chuzhou was on the deck. "Little loach, if you do not wake up, I will tie a white cloth strip on your tail." The electric eel was forced to wake up by the little devil. "Little loach, you don't have to worry. If you escort us to our destination, I will cancel the temporary contract with you. Although we have established a temporary contract, I am the kindest person. I will not use you for nothing. When the time comes, I will reward you with some pills to stop bleeding." The bloodthirsty electric eel reluctantly agreed, cursing in its heart. She was kind. If she was kind, it would really marry a white cloth strip. With the escort of the bloodthirsty electric eel, the next voyage was very smooth. Little girl, we can go ashore in front. This place has far exceeded the influence of the Fan family. There will be no more trouble. The old man could not wait to find a way to go to the Tianyuan continent, thus, these 2 days, he was burning with anxiety. Old man, although Ziheng is my subordinate, he is similar to my younger brother. Therefore, I have some suggestions to tell you. You also discovered that the 3 of us have disguised ourselves. Now, we have already recovered our original looks. Even if the Fan family stands in front of us, they wouldn't be able to recognize us. However, the 2 of you are too easy to recognize. Although you have already left the Fan family's sphere of influence, there is no guarantee that they have spies here, therefore, you cannot leave just like that. On one hand, Yun Chujio was sincerely looking out for the old man. On the other hand, she was afraid that the Fan family would follow the clues and find trouble with her. The old man nodded. What you said makes sense. Do you have a way to hide it? Although Yun Chujio had a disguise pill, there were only a few left. She was reluctant to give it to the old man. Moreover, the disguise pill only had the effect of 10 days. It could only treat the symptoms but not the root cause. Yun Chujio smiled at the big man. The big man's heart trembled for some reason, and an ominous premonition rose in his heart. This uncle is too recognizable, so he needs to change his appearance. I suggest that you shave your beard. This is more effective than taking any disguise pill. Old man, your hair and beard are all white. You dyed your hair and beard black. Moreover, from now on, in front of outsiders, this uncle will be the master and you will be his butler. This way, your relationship will be misplaced with the Fan family, and they will no longer doubt your identity. Although this might be a little unfair to old man, but it's better to be careful. Your grandson is still waiting for you to save him. Yun Chujio said slyly. The big man shook his head repeatedly. How can this be? How can my benefactor pretend to be my servant? However, the old man waved his hand. What the little girl said makes sense. The Fan family's strength is not to be underestimated. It's better to be careful. Let's do as she says. The old man said to Yun Chujio again, little girl, you saved my grandson. I can't thank you enough. When I find my grandson, I will definitely repay you heavily in the future. Old man, you are too polite. Helping the strong and supporting the weak. When you see injustice on the road, you will roar and help others. This is what a kind person like me should do. When you see the wife of the temple master of the Temple of Immortals, just help me to tell her that I am safe. Yun Chujio said as she handed a storage ring to the old man. The corner of the old man's mouth twitched. After interacting with her for the past few days, he also knew that Yun Chujio was a temperamental person. He could only say, don't worry, I will definitely pass on the message. The crowd chatted for a while more before Yun Chujio sent the old man and the big man to the shore, while the big ship continued to sail forward. Yun Chujio was a shrewd person. She wasn't afraid of anything, but just in case. It was better to sail forward for another day and a half, and then take the flying spirit tool. In this way, even if something happened to the old man, he wouldn't be able to trace it back to her. This was also the reason why she didn't ask the old man to bring gifts for the palace master's wife and the others. After another half a day, Yun Chujio finally let the big boat dock. Little Loach, our temporary contract has been cancelled. This is a pill for you. See you later. Oh right, this white cloth strip is also for you. Go home and be a wife. Then, there was no then, because the bloodthirsty electric eel was once again angered to the point of turning white. I guess it is too happy. Let's go. Yun Chujio said to Shui Wuji and Jin Ji. Jean Ji turned her head and looked at the bloodthirsty electric eel with sympathy. This poor thing had been angered dozens of times along the way. It could only blame itself for not having eyes. The bloodthirsty finless porpoise from before was smarter. Although Yun Chujio and the other two had recovered their original looks, Yun Chujio still dressed them up just in case. After dressing up, even the people from the mine wouldn't be able to recognize them. Even the people from the Heaven Punisher Academy wouldn't be able to recognize them if they didn't look carefully. 2 days later, they were only 2,000 miles away from the Heaven Punisher Academy. Little Joe, how are we going to explain this matter after we return to the Heaven Punisher Academy? Jean Ji asked. They were originally trapped in the Divine Axe Heavenly Pit, but now that they suddenly appeared, they naturally had to give an explanation. That's easy to do. Just push the pot onto the teleportation jade token. In any case, this was an accident, so they won't be able to find anything. However, we have to find a suitable place to appear. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and said. Yun Chujio felt that it would be best if they were teleported to a place with few people around. This way, no one would accuse them of lying, and the Fan family would not be suspicious in the future. A place with few people around? Yun Chujio thought of a place, and that was the place where she found the fire-eating Shio last time. However, last time, she had cheated the fire-eating Shio of a three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle. If she were to accidentally meet the fire-eating Shio, it would not be good. Therefore, she could not go to this place. Yun Chujio could not think of any ideas at the moment, so she kicked the pebble on the ground out of boredom. Suddenly, the guy's eyes lit up. Yun Chujio took out the pebble that Tian Dao Cliff had given her. Little Tian, can you bring the three of us to your place? Yun Chujio was also desperate. She did not expect that the pebble would really react. Humph. Humans are so troublesome. You have your own legs, why do you need me to bring you back? Tian Dao Cliff said impatiently. Cut the crap. It must be because you don't have such great abilities, so you're making excuses. If that's the case, we can just walk back by ourselves. Yun Chujio felt that Tian Dao Cliff was like a donkey. He was leading the group that was retreating. As expected, the Heavenly Dao Cliff said disdainfully, what's so difficult about that? I'm just afraid that Wu Yun will come and find fault with us. If Wu Yun comes and finds fault with us, he'll help you carry him, alright? In any case, I can't wait to be struck by lightning. Seeing that Yun Chujio had already said so much, the Heavenly Dao Cliff could only agree. Yun Chujio and the other two quickly removed the makeup on their faces and changed into the uniforms of the Heaven Punisher Academy. Only then did they land in a secret location. A golden light flashed and the three people who were originally on the ground disappeared. When the three of them regained their sight, they were already on the flat ground opposite the Heavenly Dao Cliff. Yun Chujio naturally praised the Heavenly Dao Cliff. The Heavenly Dao Cliff was praised so much that it almost floated up. The dissatisfaction in their hearts was long forgotten. Yun Chujio had just comforted the Heavenly Dao Cliff when a lot of people rushed over from afar. They had all seen the golden light flickering on the Heavenly Dao Cliff, so they had rushed over after hearing the news. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. 1, 2, 3, pretend to be unconscious. After saying that, the fellow lay on the ground and began to straighten his corpse. Shui Wujin Jin Ji had no choice but to imitate Yun Chujio and lay on the ground, pretending to be unconscious. As for why he was lying on the ground instead of lying down, the reason was very simple. This way, he wouldn't be exposed. When Dean Gongsun and the others arrived, they saw 3 students lying on the ground. They couldn't help but be puzzled. What was going on? At this moment, a certain Jiu slowly woke up. She turned around and sat up. She looked at the crowd in a daze before jumping up. she hugged Shui Wuji and Jin Ji, who had just woken up, and jumped up and down. "We're out! We're out! Ha ha ha!" Even though Shui Wuji and Jin Ji felt like they were crying in their hearts, they could only play along with a certain Jiu. Dean Gongsun and the others were naturally shocked. It was actually Yun Chujio and the other two. Weren't they trapped in the Divine Axe Heavenly Pit? Why were they here? Yun Chujio, what's going on? Weren't you all trapped in the Divine Axe Heavenly Pit? Headmaster, teachers, after we activated the Jade Medallion, we realized that there was no reaction. We really had no way out. We started to look for the exit and waited for the Academy to rescue us. However, as time passed, we were a little disheartened. We thought that we would be trapped in there for the rest of our lives. Unexpectedly, just as we were in despair, I heard the voice of an old man. He said something about being an idiot. I couldn't hear him clearly, and then we didn't know anything. Shui Wuji and Jin Ji nodded their heads in agreement, but they were cursing in their hearts. Little Jiu had already bravely advanced on the path of fraud and would never return. As expected, when everyone heard Yun Chujio's words, they began to discuss animatedly. I heard that when Yun Chujio came back from the coffin, everyone heard an old man say, "Idiot, why aren't you waking up?" This time, it was probably Tian Dao who saved them. What you said makes sense. Without the teleportation formation, the godly axe and Tian King wouldn't have been able to come out. Other than Tian Dao's help, they wouldn't have been able to come out. In that case, this Yun Chujio is really Tian Dao's favorite. A certain Jiu didn't show it on the surface, but he was very pleased in his heart. TSK, the Tian King incident this time was really a blessing in disguise. Not only did he make a huge fortune, but he also strengthened the title of Tian Dao's favorite. It was really killing two birds with one stone. Dean Gongsun asked for more details. A certain Jiu, who was the best at making up lies, naturally replied fluently. From time to time, she would describe the miserable situation of the three of them, such as disappointment, fear, worry, and so on. After asking these questions, Dean Gongsun felt very guilty. If it weren't for the Academy's inadequate security work, these three students wouldn't have suffered such a hardship. Alright, you should go back to the dormitory and rest first. We will officially start tomorrow, Dean Gongsun said to the three of them. The three of them nodded. After bowing, they left the Heavenly Dao Cliff. Along the way, they met some first-year students who came over to ask about their well-being. Some of them even cried in excitement. Yun Chujio acted pretentiously and comforted the three of them. It wasn't easy for the three of them to return to the dormitory. It was only at this moment that the three of them finally felt relieved. After today's incident, even if the Fan family had obtained some clues, they would not think of the three of them. It was perfect. Yun Chujio was initially worried that Tian Dao would find trouble with Tian Dao Cliff. However, there was nothing unusual, so she put this matter aside. The next day, Yun Chujio and the other two left the dormitory and walked towards the classroom. They thought that they would continue with yesterday's popularity and that there would be many people paying attention to them. However, they did not expect that their gossipy hearts would be occupied by another matter. Have you heard? I heard from my uncle's sister-in-law's eldest cousin's nephew that the Fan family, which is also the super-aristocratic family, the Fan family, and the other super-aristocratic family, the Chao family, are fighting. Really? What's the reason? Although I heard that the Chao family and the Fan family are sworn enemies, they have been peaceful for so many years. Why would they suddenly fight? I heard that the Chao family not only turned the Fan family's miners, but also stole half of the Fan family's spirit stone mine. Of course, the Fan family can't take this lying down. Oh my god! Half of the spirit stone mine. How many spirit stones did they get? The Chao family is really powerful. How did they do it? I don't know. The Chow family refused to admit that they took the Fan family's spiritual stone mine. Of course. If I were the Chow family, I wouldn't admit it either. Isn't that an excuse for the Fan family to attack them? While Yun Chujio was listening with great interest, Li Huan came over and said, Miss Yun, you might not know about this since you just came back. I know the details. Let me tell you in detail. Okay, tell me about it. I want to broaden my horizons too. Yun Chujio said with a curious look. Li Huan did not know that the person in front of him was the thief who stole the spiritual stone mine. He told Yun Chujio the rumors vividly. Yun Chujio asked a few questions from time to time, and occasionally she would make a surprised sound. Xue Wuji and Jin Ji looked at each other. They were so shameless that they only had one word, respect. Li Huan saw that Yun Chujio was listening with great interest. The story was even more exaggerated. Miss Yun, I also heard that the Chow family used high-grade talismans to blow up a spirit stone mine. My goodness, I reckon that only a level 12 hurricane explosive talisman would have such an effect. Instead, it would require at least 100 of them. Therefore, this matter was definitely done by the Chow family. How could other small families have so many hurricane explosive talismans? In my opinion, this Fan family and the Chow family have become sworn enemies. Of course, the two families also had their own conflicts, but now it has only intensified. Yun Chujio echoed a few words from the side, thinking, nonsense. I clearly don't have a level 12 hurricane burst talisman, but I still did it. Because I used thousands of superior grade burst talismans, do you have any objections? Bite me. This guy was high in his heart for a while, then he pretended to say, according to what you said, the Chow family did it. TSK, let's just watch the super family's business. It has nothing to do with us anyway. Jin Ji and Xue Wuji nodded at the side. Well, it has nothing to do with you, because you can't wait for them to fight. Li Huan didn't know that there were some twists and turns. He nodded and bowed in agreement. With Xu Jingtai's death, he had no backer. After thinking about it, he felt that this Yun Chujio was more reliable. Although her spiritual power was low, she was the daughter of the Yi family. Although she was not in tune, she was the favorite of Tian Dao. Therefore, he decided to cling on to Yun Chujio's thigh and not let go. They chatted and laughed along the way and soon arrived at the Star Class classroom. Yun Chujio scanned the classroom and realized that there were dozens of people missing. Li Huan quickly said, Miss Yun, you might not know this, but after they came out from the heavenly pit of the divine axe, that Zhai Shanshan, Shi Luoxia, and the others twisted the truth. After the academy found out the truth, they were directly expelled. Yun Chujio nodded. She was not surprised. The reason why Dean Gongsun did this was firstly to enforce the school rules, and secondly, it was probably to give the Yi family an explanation. When Mo Fongbing saw Yun Chujio, her heart was very complicated. On one hand, Yun Chujio saved her in the heavenly pit, so she was naturally happy to see Yun Chujio come back alive. On the other hand, if the Great Elder found out that Yun Chujio was still alive, he would definitely scold her. Therefore, she was somewhat unhappy about Yun Chujio's return. Yun Chujio couldn't be bothered with her little thoughts. She sat lazily in her seat and waited for Teacher Dong to arrive. Not long after, Teacher Dong walked in from outside the door. Teacher Dong glanced at the crowd, then his gaze swept past Yun Chujio and the other two and began to lecture. At the end of the lecture, Teacher Dong coughed a little, then he said, although some students have low spiritual power, they are still worthy of praise for being able to save their classmates at a critical moment. I hope that some students still need to raise their spiritual power as soon as possible. After all, the strong are the most respected in the immortal Yuan continent. After Teacher Dong finished speaking, he left in a hurry. When he left the podium, he almost tripped over himself and looked like he was about to run away. Yun Chujio could not help but laugh. Teacher Dong's words were naturally directed at the three of them. She had to admit that this Teacher Dong was a little awkward. Yes, he was cute. Teacher Dong's words reminded Yun Chujio that since she planned to go to the Primordial Chaos sect to participate in the entrance test in a year's time, her current spiritual power was definitely not enough. It seemed that she needed to formulate a detailed learning plan. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about it, she heard Xue Wuji say, "Little sister Jiu, I might be about to break through." After Xue Wuji finished speaking, he sat cross-legged on the podium and began to break through. Although everyone was a little surprised, when they thought about how Xue Wuji was only at the first level of the Lingxian realm, it was normal for him to break through. It was just that the place he chose to break through was a little hindrance. Before Yun Chujio could react, she heard Jin Ji say from the side, "Little Jiu, I seem to be about to break through too." After Jin Ji finished speaking, she also went to the podium and sat cross-legged, starting to break through. Everyone's discussion became louder. They did not expect that the two of them would actually break through at the same time. However, this was also normal. After all, when a person was about to break through, it would attract an extremely weak trace of heavenly secrets. This way, the people next to them might have the opportunity to break through as well. When Teacher Du, who was teaching the beast taming class, walked into the classroom, he found two students sitting cross-legged on the podium. Although this kind of thing was relatively rare, it was still something that could be seen occasionally, so he was not too surprised. Teacher Du walked to the other side of the podium and began to lecture. The first-grade beast taming class was about the characteristics and weaknesses of some demon beasts. Yun Chujio listened with great interest because knowing more about demon beasts was beneficial for her to better fool the beasts in the future. Halfway through Teacher Du's class, Xue Wuji's body burst out with a dazzling light. Everyone knew that he had succeeded in breaking through. Sure enough, after the light disappeared, Xue Wuji's spiritual power level changed to the second layer of the Lingxian realm. However, Xue Wuji did not open his eyes. Everyone thought that he was stabilizing his realm. At this moment, Xue Wuji's body actually emitted a dazzling light again. Everyone cried out in surprise. Could it be that he had broken through again? It couldn't be. After the light dissipated, Xue Wuji's spiritual power level had changed to the third layer of the Lingxian realm. However, Xue Wuji still did not open his eyes and continued to maintain his meditative posture. Everyone was dumbfounded. Could it be that he could continue to break through? Before Xue Wuji could break through again, everyone discovered that Jin Ji's body next to him flickered with a dazzling light. If one looked closely, there were even strands of golden light within. After the light dissipated, everyone saw that the level of the spiritual power on Jin Ji's body began to soar. She was at the second level of the spiritual profound realm, the third level of the spiritual profound realm, and only stopped when she reached the fifth level of the spiritual profound realm. Everyone's mouths could not close. Oh God, what kind of monster was this? She had actually risen 4 levels in a row. At this moment, Xue Wuji's body shone with light again. His spiritual power level had broken through to the 4th level of the spiritual profound realm, but he still did not open his eyes. Everyone could not help but hold their breaths. Could it be that Xue Wuji could continue to break through? After another half an hour, Xue Wuji's body flashed with light again. This time, the light was even more dazzling. When the light dissipated, Xue Wuji's spiritual power level began to soar. 5th level of the Lingxian realm, 6th level of the Lingxian realm. It only stopped when he reached the 7th level of the Lingxian realm. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Her companions had all leveled up. Was it not good that she was so weak? Hence, this fellow cried out, I'm about to break through too. Everyone's eyes gathered on Yun Chujio. They saw her sitting cross-legged on the podium, pretending to meditate for a while. Then, the spiritual power in her body began to surge. Fourth level of the spiritual profound realm, fifth level of the spiritual profound realm. It did not stop until she reached the sixth level of the spiritual profound realm. The reason this fellow chose the sixth level of the spiritual profound realm was because she had a straight flush from the fifth, sixth, and seventh level. Well, actually, this fellow was already used to pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, and did not hide 2 levels of strength. She felt that it was not in line with her principles in doing things. A certain Jiu was a very principled person. The classroom of the first-grade star class was eerily quiet. Each and every one of them had a big mouth. They felt that they had received a critical blow. Their worldview had received a serious blow. Didn't they say that cultivation should be done step by step? Didn't they say that each level required time and effort to break through? Then, how could they explain the 3 perverts in front of them? One had risen 3 levels, one had risen 4 levels, and one had risen 6 levels in an instant. It was simply unbearable. They were like pregnant women who were pregnant for 10 months. These 3 perverts were amazing. They were like an old hen laying eggs. PFFT, one, PFFT, another one. It was simply too easy, wasn't it? Originally, these 3 pervert spiritual power levels were at the bottom of the class of stars. But now, Shui Wuji had suddenly become the one with the highest spiritual power. Even Jin Ji had reached the intermediate level, and this was only the duration of one class. Not to mention the students, even Teacher Du was stunned. This was too unbelievable, wasn't it? Soon, the news of Yun Chujio and the other 2 breaking through spread throughout Xingtian Academy. Someone guessed, the 3 of them might have had some good fortune in the Divine Axe Heavenly Pit. Otherwise, they wouldn't have broken through so many levels right after returning. What you said makes sense. If they were talented, why didn't they break through before? It seems like they really got a good fortune in the Divine Axe Heavenly Pit. This is really a blessing in disguise. This is a blessing in disguise for good people. It's probably a blessing from God. The 3 of them saved hundreds of people. The 3 people who were being discussed by the crowd arrived at the law enforcement office. Yun Chujio said to a teacher of the law enforcement office with a smile, "Teacher, I'm looking for Teacher Pang for an important matter. Can you help me pass the message?" The teacher smiled and agreed. He walked to a room inside and asked a few questions. Then, he said to Yun Chujio and the other 2, "Teacher Pang asked you to come in." After Yun Chujio and the other 2 entered the room, they saw Teacher Pang sitting behind a desk, dealing with official business. "Why are you looking for me?" Teacher Pang raised his head and asked. Yun Chujio giggled, "Teacher Pang, do you still remember what you promised me in the entrance exam? Let me give you a reminder, the Night Pearl." Teacher Pang was stunned at first, then he laughed out loud. "You little girl, you're really a money grubber." Although there were mistakes in the entrance exam this time, the students who ranked higher still had rewards. "What? You collected a lot of shell fragments of the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe?" Yun Chujio raised her head proudly. "Of course. I've collected all the stone egg fragments that Shui Mo is hiding in. There are at least a few hundred of them." "Oh. If that's the case, then leave it to me. I will register it." The outer shell fragments that the others had collected had already been handed over to the law enforcement department. They had already finished registering it. Yun Chujio nodded. She sent her spiritual sense into the storage ring. Then, the fellow's expression changed. "Damn it! Where are my fragments? Why are my fragments missing?" Yun Chujio searched every corner of the storage ring. She could not find a single thing. Those fragments had strangely disappeared. Yun Chujio immediately thought of the heaven and earth furnace that had a criminal record. She used her spiritual sense to inquire about it. Although the heaven and earth furnace couldn't speak, the emotions it conveyed were very aggrieved. It meant that it hadn't eaten any shit fragments. Chapter 2396 Go. Yun Chujio was so angry that she was about to faint. Fuck, could it be that there was a ghost? Why did the fragment suddenly disappear? Could it be that after Shuamo hid, the fragment had changed? It had already turned into powder. Teacher Pang smiled. He did not taunt Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio, it seems that you can only get the luminous pearl if you get first place in the next test. However, don't worry. Although you didn't get the fragment, you saved the first-year students this time. You won't be expelled. One could imagine the grievance in Yun Chujio's heart. Originally, she was in the top 3, but now, she was in the bottom 3. Moreover, they had to be punished by the law to be able to stay in Xingtian Academy. Yun Chujio came with her head held high, but when she left, she became listless. No one knew the inside story, so they thought that Yun Chujio had done something wrong again and was dealt with by the law enforcement department. As for why it was, again, cough, cough, it was because a certain Jio had too many priors. How did it disappear? What the hell? Yun Chujio mumbled as she walked. Shui Wuji and Jin Ji were also puzzled. That's right, why did the fragments suddenly disappear? Just as the three of them were walking towards the dormitory, they suddenly realized that the sky had turned dark. It was noon, so there was no reason for the sky to be so dark. Yun Chujio raised her head and saw a large patch of dark clouds floating towards the Xingtian Academy. Wu Yun and Jin Ji were stunned. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that they were going to split the heavenly Tao cliff? Logically speaking, Wu Yun should have come yesterday. Why did he only come today? Could it be that there was a traffic jam in the sky as well? Or could it be that there was also something like the Double 11 in the sky, and the express delivery had exploded? This fellow's imagination was running wild. However, he was running towards the heavenly Tao cliff. As he ran, he turned his head and said to Shui Wuji and Jin Ji, "You guys go back to the dormitory first. They'll go to the heavenly Tao cliff to take a look." Shui Wuji and Jin Ji knew that they could not help in this situation. If they went, they would be a burden to Yun Chujio, so they could only instruct Yun Chujio to be careful. Yun Chujio ran all the way and soon arrived at the heavenly Tao cliff. When the heavenly Tao cliff saw Yun Chujio coming, he said snappily, "At least you have a conscience. This Wu Yun is definitely here to strike me. Blocking this heavenly lightning will waste a lot of my golden light. Little Tian, don't worry. When the Wu Yun arrives, just let it strike me. When I can't take it anymore, you can attack it again." When that time comes, Wu Yun will already be at the end of its tether. You can torture it to death. When the heavenly Tao cliff heard Yun Chujio's words, he recalled the incident from the last time. That piece of Wu Yun was indeed extremely angered by it, and his mood could not help but feel much better. As the man and the cliff were talking, the sky turned even darker. The thick layer of clouds released a tremendous pressure, and the students quickly found a place to hide. Otherwise, it would be difficult for them to even breathe. Dean Gongsun and the others gathered together and raised their heads to look at the sky. They were all puzzled. Wu Yun was clearly heading toward the cliff of Heaven Dao. Why had the Tian Dao been struck by lightning recently? Yun Chujio looked up and saw that the Wu Yun this time was not the same Wu Yun from last time. Could it be that Wu Yun from last time had been angered to death? However, the newcomer was easier to fool. She could just use this opportunity to break through. Who knows, she might be able to break through to Lingshu in one go. The more Yun Chujio thought about it, the happier she became. She said to the heavenly Tao cliff with curved brows, "Hurry up and bring me to the bottom of the valley. Otherwise, I will be easily discovered by others." After Tiandao Cliff got Yun Chujio to the bottom of the valley, Yun Chujio got Xiao Hanio and Xiao Mogu out as usual. The three perverts sat in a row, waiting to be struck by lightning. Chapter 2397 was fuming with anger. Wu Yun slowly gathered into a large dark cloud. Just as he was about to split the heavenly Tao cliff, he was stunned. That's not right. When he came, he said he would split the heavenly Tao cliff. Why was there another target below? That little girl had a heavenly lightning spirit root, right? Logically speaking, she should have been killed long ago. Why did he let her live to such an age? Then, the question came. As the most loyal and powerful protector of Tiandao, should she kill the little girl with the heavenly thunder spirit root? Wu Yun was clearly in a dilemma. Which one should she kill? Just as Wu Yun was wandering around, a bird call came from below. "Wah wah, you shameless coquettish slut. You actually dared to use such a noble color like black. Did I allow you to use it? Only someone of my noble bloodline is worthy of the noble black color." Wu Yun looked down and saw that the one who spoke was an ugly bird that was black and fat like a ball. That ugly bird had a short wing on its waist and a short wing pointing at the sky while it was jumping around and cursing. Wu Yun did not hesitate to split Xiao Hanio or the cliff of heavenly Tao. A bolt of heavenly lightning struck towards the little black bird. Wu Yun felt that the little black bird would turn into a roasted chicken if a bolt of heavenly lightning struck it. However, the heavenly lightning had just struck it. Xiao Hanio continued to curse, "You shameless Wu Yun, you struck me before I could finish my words. Don't you know what manners are?" Wu Yun was furious. "You stupid bird, you called me a flirtatious bitch, you called me shameless, and I can't attack you." The result of Wu Yun's anger was that he attacked Xiao Hanio one after another. Xiao Hanio scolded him, and the hatred points were raised. Yun Chujio was very gratified. She had to say that Xiao He had not improved in other aspects, but his eloquence was getting better and better. Xiao Mogu had always been a bad person. It did not know how to curse, so it secretly began to cut off Wu Yun's beard. After all, every time Wu Yun struck down more than a dozen bolts of lightning, it did not matter how many bolts it cut off. Wu Yun struck out 13 times, thinking that the ugly bird had been chopped into pieces. Unfortunately, the thunder stopped. Immediately, the ugly bird burped and said, "Hey. I'm full. I'm going back to sleep. See you later." Wu Yun watched Xiao Hanio disappear on the spot, then, the little girl with the heavenly thunder spirit root said faintly, "Sigh. If it wasn't for my harsh words, wouldn't Wu Yun do the survival of the fittest? You're such a weak piece of trash. Don't come out and embarrass yourself. It really makes people laugh. Weak piece of trash. Trash." Wu Yun originally thought that such words were unrelated to him. He didn't expect it to be used to describe him. It was infuriating. Boom. 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 A certain Jiu, who had successfully attracted hatred, began to be struck by lightning in satisfaction. She was addicted to being struck by lightning. Every once in a while, if she was not struck by a few streaks of lightning, her entire body would feel uncomfortable. It was as if she had not eaten meat for several days. Wu Yun felt that she was about to collapse. She had struck mighty figures and high-level demon beasts before, but she had never encountered such a situation where she could not be struck to death. Why was there such a pervert in the world? Why? 2 hours, 4 hours, a total of 6 hours had passed. Other than a few deep pits on the ground, that pervert was completely fine. He had even taken the time to roast a few spirit potatoes to eat. Dean Gongsun and the others were nervously watching in the courtyard. Someone suddenly exclaimed, "Heavens! Look, why is Wu Yun smoking?" Chapter 2398 was devastated. Everyone was surprised to find that white mist was rising from the top of Wu Yun. It really seemed to be smoking. Forget it. How can Wu Yun be smoking? I think it's going to rain. Shouldn't the rain be falling? How can it be rising? It's clearly smoking. Could it be that Wu Yun is not familiar with the business and it should be falling but it's going up? Wu Yun, who was already fuming with anger, heard everyone's discussion and was even angrier to the point of wanting to commit suicide. You fucking aren't familiar with the business, and your entire family isn't familiar with it. You're really infuriating. Wu Yun couldn't do anything to the little girl at the bottom of the valley. He immediately vented his anger on the people who were speaking. He floated over and struck them until they cried for their parents. Only then did he regain some of his confidence. It seemed that it wasn't a scumbag. It was just that the little girl with the heavenly thunder spirit root was too perverted. Another 2 hours passed. Yun Chujio couldn't take it anymore and sneaked into the cave. Wu Yun couldn't hit Yun Chujio, so he vented his anger on the heavenly Dao cliff. Fuck. If he hadn't come to split the heavenly Dao cliff, he wouldn't have met that little pervert. He wouldn't have been struck so hard that he had nothing left to live for. He wouldn't have hacked the heavenly Dao cliff to death. Wu Yun's thoughts were pretty good, but the heavenly Dao cliff heavily added salt to his wound. The heavenly lightning struck by Wu Yun was blocked by the golden light of the heavenly Dao cliff. Furthermore, the heavenly Dao cliff began to chatter incessantly and mock Wu Yun. TSK. You little scum, you still want to split me? I'm not moving here, you try splitting me. The heavenly Dao cliff had been eager to try for a long time. So what if I'm floating in the sky? It'll still infuriate you to death. Wu Yun felt that he might have forgotten to look at the almanac when he went out today. Otherwise, why would he encounter 3 perverts? He suddenly remembered something. Originally, he was not the one who came for this mission. Instead, number 6, Wu Yun, had something urgent to attend to, so he had asked him to come. Could it be that that damn thing number 6 knew that there were perverts here, so he deliberately let it come looking for torture? The more Wu Yun thought about it, the more she felt that the possibility was very high, and she became even more furious. After Wu Yun figured out the twists and turns inside, she was no longer in the mood to continue splitting the heavenly Dao cliff. She floated away while emitting white smoke. When the heavenly Dao cliff saw that Wu Yun had drifted away, this fellow was still shouting, "Hey! Don't be in a hurry to leave. I haven't had enough fun yet." Wu Yun really couldn't take it anymore. It started to rain with a crashing sound. Woo, when it came to it, it was all tears. Wu Yun was heartbroken, but a certain Jiu was elated. TSK, even though she had only leveled up 2 levels, she was already at the first level of the spiritual void tier. Anyway, she was satisfied with the thunder she got. This guy was even thinking in his heart. Otherwise, when he wanted to level up in the future, he would deliberately let the heavenly Dao cliff do something wrong. Although it was still raining outside, Yun Chujio was afraid that someone would find out, so she asked the heavenly Dao cliff to get her on top. Then, she sneaked back to the dormitory. After returning to the dormitory, she sent a message to Jin Ji and Shui Wuji, then happily took a bath. Lying on the bed, she began to plan the next learning arrangements. The most important thing now was to learn the spirit power phantom technique. As for alchemy, talismans, and beast taming, she could only learn some basic knowledge first. After all, she didn't know those instructors very well, so she didn't dare to reveal too many trump cards. After Yun Chujio made the plan, she sat cross-legged and began to meditate to consolidate her realm. The next day happened to be Sun Xiu's day. Yun Chujio felt that she should go to the Yi family to brush her face, and at the same time, look for Old Master Yi and Yi Bingyu to ask for a sound transmission talisman. Chapter 2399, Kill Her First. After greeting Shui Wuji and Jin Ji, Yun Chujio went to the Hua Stone Academy to look for Yi Bingyu. Most of the students of the Wa Stone Academy had only heard of Yun Chujio, but they had never seen her in person. Therefore, when Yun Chujio arrived at the entrance of the Wa Stone Academy and reported her name to the guards of the academy, the eyes of the crowd immediately lit up with the light of gossip. Someone in the crowd said sourly, "You probably don't know, right? She is the new successor of the Yi family, Yun Chujio. Her mother used to be the daughter of the Yi family's concubine, but now she has become the daughter of the Yi family's first wife. She really got lucky." Yun Chujio turned her head and saw that the person who spoke was the Lu Jinluan she had met in the psychedelic forest. Yun Chujio could not help but frown. According to common sense, Lu Jinluan and Yi Bingyu were good friends, so they should not mock her like this. Could it be that she had taken the wrong medicine? Lu Jinluan saw that Yun Chujio did not say anything, so she thought that Yun Chujio did not dare to argue with her. She said even more harshly, "Tsk, I also heard that this Yun Chujio is some favored child of the Tian Dao." Bah! She really flattered herself. Shameless! Yun Chujio's expression was indifferent, but she still did not say anything. Lu Jinluan thought that Yun Chujio was a soft persimmon, so she curled her lips and said, "What kind of mother has what kind of daughter? I heard that Yi Lan was expelled from the Yi family. Mother's useless daughter is even more useless." Before Lu Jinluan's voice faded, Yun Chujio jumped in front of her, stared at her coldly and said, "Apologize immediately, or I'll make you kneel down and apologize." Lu Jinluan sneered. "Are you crazy? I'll apologize to you? Even if you fly to the top, you're still a sparrow that can't be put on the stage. Do you really think the Yi family will stand up for you and cause trouble for our Lu family?" Hearing Lu Jinluan's words, Yun Chujio's heart moved. No wonder Lu Jinluan was so against her. Her aunt, Lu Shi, was a member of the Lu family. She should be Lu Jinluan's aunt. Yun Chujio's sudden attack was as fast as lightning. Lu Jinluan's spiritual power was lower than Yun Chujio's, and she was unprepared. Yun Chujio grabbed her throat. Yun Chujio turned behind Lu Jinluan, took out a big kitchen knife that was necessary for scamming people, and forced Lu Jinluan's neck. Then, she kicked Lu Jinluan's leg, and Lu Jinluan knelt on the ground. "Lu Jinluan, you can apologize now." Lu Jinluan's mind was blank. She didn't know what happened. In a flash, she was made to kneel on the ground by Yun Chujio. "You, let go of me. Otherwise, I won't forgive you." "Won't forgive me? You publicly insulted my mother and me. Even if I kill you, your Lu family won't have the face to ask for an explanation from our Yi family. Because, your Lu family's daughter doesn't have any upbringing. Lu Jinluan, if you don't want to be killed by me, then obediently apologize to me." Yun Chujio said with a sneer. "Don't even think about it. If you kill me, you won't live either. You're just a little bastard who inherited the Yi family. Do you really think that the Yi family takes you seriously?" Lu Jinluan said fearlessly. "Is that so? Then I'll kill you today to have some fun." As Yun Chujio said that, she exerted more force, and a wound appeared on Lu Jinluan's fair neck, and fresh blood flowed down. Lu Jinluan immediately panicked and said in a panic, "Yun Chujio, the students of Xingtian Academy and Wuxia Academy are forbidden to fight. If you really kill me, you'll be punished by the city rules." Yun Chujio curled the corners of her mouth. "It was you who provoked me first. If you want to be punished, well, suffer together. I don't care. Anyway, I'll kill you first." Chapter 2400 also had the potential of a Black Lotus. Lu Pinyin received the news and rushed over. When he saw that Lu Jinluan was controlled by Yun Chuzhou and there was blood on her neck, immediately, he became angry from embarrassment. Yun Chuzhou, quickly release Jinluan. Otherwise, I won't be polite. If she apologizes, I'll release her. Otherwise, even if the Heavenly King comes, it's useless. Yun Chuzhou said coldly and arrogantly. It was fine to scold her, but she actually dared to scold Yilan. She was simply courting death. Lu Pinyin was afraid of the consequences. He was so angry that his face turned ashen. He took out his identity jade token and sent a message to Yi Bingyu. Not long after, Yi Bingyu walked out of the Wa Stone Academy. Lu Pinyin hurriedly said, "Bingyu, quickly tell Yun Chuzhou to let go of Jinluan." Yi Bingyu ignored Lu Pinyin. Instead, she ran to Yun Chuzhou's side enthusiastically and said excitedly, "I knew you, this evildoer, wouldn't die. This is great. Let's go back to the Yi family together later." Of course. A scourge lives for 10,000 years. Give me a voice transmission talisman later, in case I can't find you and have to come over to find you. Okay. I wanted to give it to you last time, but I forgot. Lu Shi and his sister were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. Could you let her go first before chatting? Don't you think it's inappropriate to chat like this? Lu Jinluan was so angry that she gritted her teeth. No wonder Yi Bingyu had been treating her coldly during this period of time. She originally thought that she was arrogant, but she didn't expect that she would be so good friends with Yun Chuzhou. It was really detestable. Although Lu Jinluan's heart was filled with hatred, she still pleaded, "Bingyu, quickly let Yun Chuzhou let me go." Yi Bingyu seemed to have just seen Lu Jinluan. She said in surprise, "Little Jiu, are you sparring with Lu Jinluan?" At this moment, Yun Chuzhou finally confirmed that Yi Bingyu and her had the blood of the Yi family. It turned out that this guy also had the potential to be a Black Lotus. Lu Jinluan was so angry that she almost passed out. She gritted her teeth and said, "What sparring? Yun Chuzhou wants to kill me." Oh. The Lu siblings waited for a long time, but Yi Bingyu didn't say anything else. Lu Pinyin could no longer maintain his usual elegance and said sinisterly, "Yun Chuzhou, quickly release Jinluan, or I will report to the city lord of Tianluo City." Yun Chuzhou shrugged her shoulders. "As you wish. Anyway, Lu Jinluan's head will fall to the ground before the city lord sends his men. What do you want?" Lu Pinyin clenched his fists. He didn't dare to gamble. He was afraid that Yun Chuzhou would really kill Lu Jinluan. "Apologize. Apologize to my mother and me. Just say that her mouth is like a dog that can't spit out ivory. She is jealous of my mother and my peerless magnificence. She is jealous of our amazing talent, so she slandered us. She is a shameless flirtatious slut." Yun Chuzhou said slowly. "You. Don't go too far." Lu Jinluan's eyes were red. If she really said these words, she wouldn't have the face to face others in the future. Lu Pinyin tried his best to suppress the killing intent in his heart. "The first words are fine, but can you not say the last sentence?" TSK, the most outstanding thing is the last sentence." The coquettish slut was simply tailor-made for a little bitch like Lu Jinluan. However, a dog can bite a human, but a human cannot bite a dog. How about this? 1 million high-grade spirit stones per word. If you agree, you pay. If you don't agree, TSK, then tell me word by word. 1 million high-grade spirit stones per word. Heavens, this Yun Chuzhou was too evil. Some students began counting with their fingers. She's just a shameless flirtatious bitch. Damn, there were 12 words in total. This was 12 million high-grade spirit stones. How could Lu Pinyin bear to do so? Chapter 2401, City Lord Lu Pinyin was silent for a moment, then he gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, I agree." He knew that if Lu Jinluan said that, then Lu Jinluan would never be able to raise her head in this lifetime. Whether it was from the family or from the face of the Lu family, this sentence must not be said. After Yun Chujio received the spirit stones, she said indifferently, "You can skip that sentence. Just say the rest of the sentence, not a single word less." Lu Jinluan bit her lips until they were bleeding. She wished she could find a hole and hide in it. She clenched her teeth and told Yun Chujio what she had said. Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips and released Lu Jinluan. Then, she said coldly, "If I hear anyone say bad things about my mother again, Lu Jinluan will be a good example." Everyone looked at each other. Yun Chujio had left a shadow in the hearts of the students of the WA's Stone Academy. This guy was not only cruel and merciless, but also greedy. It was better to not provoke her. Of course, there were also some people who did not think much of it. They felt that Lu Jinluan was just careless. Lu Jinluan looked at Yun Chujio with her red eyes and said viciously, "Yun Chujio, I, Lu Jinluan, will fight to the death with you. Just you wait." Yun Chujio shrugged her shoulders indifferently. "There are many people who will fight to the death with me. Who do you think you are? Go queue up at the back. Everyone." This fellow was too arrogant. Although she was the first daughter of the Yi family, what right did she have to be so arrogant? Could it be that she was the favored child of Tian Dao? Lu Jinluan wanted to say more, but Lu Pinyin gave her a signal with his eyes. The two of them turned around and entered the WA's Stone Academy. Yun Chujio didn't even look at them. She said to Yi Bingyu, "Sister Bingyu, I have something that I need your help with." Yi Bingyu was stunned for a moment before she understood. Little Jiu was probably afraid that the Lu family would take revenge and wanted her to help explain things to her great-grandfather. Then, she heard Yun Chujio say with a smile, "I heard that the food in the dining hall of the Rock Academy is pretty good. Can you go in and buy some for me?" Yi Bingyu. Could she distance herself from this glutton right now? Could she say that she didn't know this good for nothing? The students of the Shi Academy were also confused. Wasn't this scene changing too quickly? Just a moment ago, she was still a vicious and merciless female devil. How did she become a glutton in such a short time? Yi Bingyu said with disappointment, "Let's go back to the Yi family first. When we come back, I'll buy it for you. By the way, where's Brother Wenhong? Isn't he going back with us?" Yun Chujio asked. Brother Wenhong said that he's going to make a breakthrough soon, so he has to hurry up and cultivate, Yi Bingyu explained. Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows. Cultivation was probably secondary. The main reason was that he didn't want to face the Gushi and Lu Shi. It was indeed a terrible thing to face his mother and grandmother who didn't have a good outlook on life. Just as Yun Chujio and Yi Bingyu were about to leave the city and return to the Yi family, a team of guards walked over. "Miss Yun, the city lord has invited you." Yi Bingyu was suddenly shocked. She asked in surprise, although there was an argument just now, both parties did not make any requests. Why did the city lord summon little Jiu? The 10 guards of the Yi family that Yun Chujio had previously recruited squeezed out from the crowd and blocked in front of Yun Chujio and Yi Bingyu, acting as if they were protecting their master. The reason why they didn't make a move just now was because Yun Chujio had the upper hand. Now that they saw that the city lord's mansion wanted to arrest someone, they naturally wouldn't sit idly by. A guard from the city lord's mansion smiled and said, "The two young ladies might have misunderstood. My city lord didn't do it because of the dispute just now. He just wanted to invite Miss Yun to have a cup of tea." Chapter 2402, Mayor Huang drinking tea. Everyone present was shocked. Up until now, Mayor Huang of Tianluo City had only invited 2 people to drink tea. One was Dean Gongsun of Xingtian Academy, and the other was Dean Duanmu of Wuxia Academy. Mayor Huang had always lived in seclusion. Many people in Tianluo City had never seen him before. Why did he invite Yun Chuzhou to drink tea? Yi Bingyu nervously tugged at Yun Chuzhou's sleeve, indicating that she should not go. No matter how she looked at it, this matter seemed strange. It would be strange if something good happened. Yun Chuzhou smiled and said to the guard of the mayor's mansion, "The mayor invited you, but it's impolite. Let's go." Yi Bingyu glared at Yun Chuzhou, "I'll go too." The guard of the mayor's mansion said respectfully but distantly, "Miss Yi, the mayor only invited Miss Yun. Please forgive me." Although Yi Bingyu was arrogant, she did not dare to clash with the guard of the city lord's mansion. She could only clench her teeth and say, "Little Jiu, then I'll bring your guard and wait for you outside the city lord's mansion. This is my voice transmission talisman." Yi Bingyu said and handed a voice transmission talisman to Yun Chuzhou. The meaning was very obvious. This was to tell the guard that if they wanted to harm Yun Chuzhou, she would immediately get the news. The guard just smiled and made a hand gesture. "Miss Yun, please." Yun Chuzhou nodded and strolled away with the guards of the mayor's residence. Yi Bingyu was so angry that she gritted her teeth. What a heartless person. Do you know what kind of place the mayor's residence is? He actually followed her. Yun Chuzhou followed the guards of the mayor's residence all the way, pondering the purpose of Mayor Huang looking for her. No matter how big or small a city was in the immortal Yuan continent, there would always be city lords. These city lords were all from the Sky-Bearing Alliance. The Sky-Bearing Alliance was basically equivalent to the imperial court in the secular world. These city lords were also equivalent to officials of different sizes. However, the strong were the most respected in the immortal Yuan continent, so these city lords could only restrict the ordinary people. As for the big families or sects, they held the principle of not meddling in each other's affairs. They basically played their own games and gave each other face. However, there were exceptions. Some city lords, due to their superior spiritual power and the power of their subordinates, basically became the local emperors in the cities under their jurisdiction. The clans living in the cities also had to give some face. The city lord of Tianluo City was such an exception. According to common sense, Xingtian Academy and Wuxia Academy were equivalent to the strength of first-class clans or sects, but they did not dare to go against Mayor Huang. The students inside had to abide by the rules of Tianluo City. There was once a student from a first-class family who did not believe in evil and openly violated the rules of Tianluo City by killing a commoner. He originally thought that Mayor Huang would not dare to do anything to him, but he did not expect Mayor Huang to directly order the student to be killed. For a moment, the public opinion was in an uproar. Everyone thought that Mayor Huang had stirred up a hornet's nest, and that the student's family would definitely not spare him. However, everything had been peaceful. The student's family only took the student's body back and nothing else happened. Ever since that incident, no one dared to violate the rules of Tianluo City. Mayor Huang's position in everyone's heart was almost the same as that of the local emperor. After Yun Chuzhou recalled the information about Mayor Huang, she still could not figure out why Mayor Huang wanted to meet her. Could it be that he had taken a liking to her beauty? Ahem, brother guard, may I ask if Mayor Huang has taken a wife? The guards of the mayor's residence. Chapter 2403, I heard that you stole a spirit stone mine. The leading guard coughed dryly. We are not very clear about the city lord's personal matters. Yun Chuzhou raised her eyebrows. This diplomatic language was quite skillful. However, there was a high chance that Mayor Huang did not have a woman by his side. Otherwise, they would not have said that they were not very clear. Could it be that he really had his eyes set on her beauty? Damn it, I am a gigolo. If he dares to have his eyes on me, I will castrate him. In his mind, this guy immediately made up and directed a big drama about snatching civilian women. Before the big drama ended, they had arrived at the mayor's mansion. Yun Chujio had never been to the street of the mayor's mansion before. When she saw the mayor's mansion, two words flashed through Yun Chujio's mind: rich. This mansion was extremely luxurious. The only thing missing was the word rich written on the plaque at the entrance. However, it was also true. The mayor's mansion had to collect protection fees. All the businesses in Tianluo City had to pay taxes. Moreover, there might be other businesses. However, this Mayor Huang was very ostentatious. If he had money, he could just keep it to himself. He had actually put it out in the open. She really did not know whether this Mayor Huang was arrogant or fearless. Yun Chujio followed the leading guard into the meeting room of the mayor's residence. An old man with gleaming eyes sat on the main seat. Yun Chujio bowed to him as a junior. This junior, Yun Chujio, greets Mayor Huang. The old man stroked his beard and sized up Yun Chujio several hundred times. He did not say a word. Thank you, Mayor Huang, for giving me a seat. As Yun Chujio spoke, she sat on a chair next to her. Mayor Huang, did he say that he was going to give her a seat? It didn't seem like he did. Could it be that this little girl's ears weren't working properly? Mayor Huang didn't say anything for a long time again. He continued to size up Yun Chujio with an inquisitive look. Thank you, Mayor Huang, for the tea. Yun Chujio began to drink the tea by herself. It was sizzling very contentedly. Just now, when she was tidying up Lu Jinluan, she happened to be thirsty. Mayor Huang was indeed a nouveau riche. The taste of the tea was really not bad. Mayor Huang, he finally understood that this little girl was not deaf, but shameless. Mayor Huang suddenly burst into laughter, and Yun Chujio almost spat out the tea in her mouth. Damn, was this Mayor Huang sick? Mayor Huang laughed for a long time before saying, little girl, no wonder you are so bold to swallow half of the Fan family's spirit stone mine. You are really thick-skinned. Yun Chujio's heart trembled. Oh my god, how did this damn rich old man know about the Fan family's spirit stone mine? Yun Chujio calmed herself down. After taking a sip of tea, she said with a smile, Mayor Huang really likes to joke. Didn't the Chow family take away the Fan family's spirit stone mine? How could a weak little girl like me do such an earth-shattering thing? Besides, I've always been taking classes at Xingtian Academy. How could I possibly go to the Fan family tens of thousands of miles away? Mayor Huang clicked his tongue and said, this little girl is indeed thick-skinned. To think that she can lie so smoothly. This is really an eye-opener for me. However, since I dare to say this, it means that I have enough evidence. The back mountain of the Fan family was intruded by a man and two women. Then, the three of them were sent to the Fan family's spirit stone mine by Fan Mingchuan. The three of them entered the mine's canteen to work as odd-job workers. One of the little girls instigated those odd-job workers to defect. The little girl then gave the miners an idea, asking them to bring the ores that had been mined to the Chow family. Meanwhile, she herself took away half of the Fan family's mine and fled. Now, the Fan family and the Chow family are at loggerheads, and the culprit is sitting here drinking tea. TSK, what a good plan. Chapter 2404. It was easy to invite the gods, but difficult to send them off. Although Yun Chujio's heart was in turmoil, she praised, Mayor Huang's imagination is really admirable. Is there such a smart little girl in the world as you say? This is simply not human. She is almost becoming a spirit. Mayor Huang, He originally thought that he already had a certain understanding of Yun Chujia's thick skin, but now he felt that he had still underestimated the extent of a certain Jiu's shamelessness. People were shameless to this extent, and could only be said to be talented, absolutely talented. Little girl, since I said this, I naturally have conclusive evidence. You don't have to be afraid, I don't have any other intentions. It's just that spirit ores need to be processed to turn into spirit stones. I just want to cooperate with you on the matter of processing spirit ores. Mayor Huang, although I can't bear to, I still have to say, have you not been resting well recently? I'm such a delicate and weak little girl. How could I possibly be the little girl who swallowed half of the Fan family's mine? Although I don't know what evidence you're talking about, I have enough evidence to prove that I've always been in Xingtian Academy. Therefore, you must have mistaken me for someone else. Yun Chuzhou sneered in her heart. No matter what you said, she just wouldn't admit it. She felt that Mayor Huang only had a small piece of evidence. He was trying to trick her. No matter how powerful he was, how could he trace it back to the cliff of Tiandao? Dream on. Mayor Huang's initial 80% suspicion had now turned into absolute certainty. Although there was no concrete evidence to prove that it was Yun Chuzhou who did it, it was extraordinary that a little girl could be so calm in front of him. If Yun Chujia's identity was ordinary, Mayor Huang would definitely use some means to force Yun Chuzhou to admit it. However, Yun Chuzhou was the first daughter of the Yi family. Although he was not afraid of the Yi family, he did not want to cause unnecessary trouble. Anyway, there was still a long way to go, this little girl would reveal herself sooner or later. Mayor Huang thought of this and laughed out loud. Forget it, I might have really mistook you for someone else. I have met your great-grandfather once and we can be considered old friends. If you encounter any difficulties in the future, you can come to me anytime. Then, thank you, Mayor Huang. Great-grandfather had indeed told me about you before. He said that you were the most generous and generous, especially to a junior. Even the first gift you gave was an immortal artifact. Mayor Huang, I wonder if it's true. Yun Chuzhou put down the teacup, she asked with a smile. Mayor Huang, should he say yes or should he say no? Immortal item. This little girl's heart was really dark. No wonder she could swallow half of the Fan clan's spirit stone mine. She was simply a Pai Xiu who could only enter but not leave. Mayor Huang did not say anything for a while. Yun Chuzhou picked up the teacup and slowly drank the tea. Her little heart had suffered a shock. If she did not extort an immortal item from him, she would be letting down her conscience. The two of them seemed to be competing in patience. After a full hour, neither of them said anything. Yun Chuzhou was not in a hurry either. An hour was not enough to buy a loss, and neither was it enough to buy a trap. She would just have to endure it. If she could get her hands on an immortal item, not to mention an hour, even half a month would be worth it. Mayor Huang originally wanted to leave Yun Chuzhou there, and then let her take the initiative to take her leave. Who would have thought that the little girl did not know what it meant to be embarrassed? She was even more at home than in his own house. Mayor Huang deeply understood a sentence: it was easy to invite the gods, but difficult to send them off. There was also a sentence: throw a rock at your own feet. Chapter 2405, Great-Grandfather Huang. Just as Mayor Huang was at a loss as to what to do, he heard Yun Chuzhou sigh. Mayor Huang, forget it. Actually, your generosity has nothing to do with me. I'm just a junior. I'll take my leave now. Mayor Huang was delighted. It seemed that this little girl couldn't take it anymore. At this moment, he heard Yun Chuzhou continue, "I'll go back to the Yi family in a while. I'll tell great-grandfather that he's not good at judging people. Some people, no matter how gorgeous the mansion is, no matter how famous they are, TSK, they still don't live up to their name. Oh right, my great-grandfather also said that he would hold a birthday banquet for me on my birthday. At that time, he would invite many famous people. I have one biggest flaw, and that is that I don't have a good mouth. Who knows, I might say something that I shouldn't say. Just thinking about it is very interesting. Interesting? Interesting, your big head ghost. Mayor Huang loved face the most. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made the mansion so extravagant. Mayor Huang gritted his teeth and used his spiritual sense to search through his storage ring. He was reluctant to part with this and that. In the end, he found something in the corner and his eyes couldn't help but light up. Little girl, I was just teasing you. This is our first meeting, how can I let you return empty-handed? What is an immortal weapon? I will give you a divine weapon. Don't look at this as a fragment, but this is a fragment of a divine weapon, the Great Void Mirror. In the future, if you collect all the fragments, you will have a divine weapon. A divine weapon is something that grows naturally. As far as I know, no one in this world has a divine weapon. When that time comes, you will be the #1 person in the immortal Yuan continent. Mayor Huang held a fragment in his hand and smiled like a wolf with a big tail. Although Yun Chuzhou was secretly happy, she had a look of disdain on her face. Mayor Huang, this is only a fragment. When will I be able to collect the Great Void Mirror? You better give me another one. Sigh, you little girl really don't know what's good for you. Other things are not as good as this. The elder will not refuse. Hurry up and take it. Mayor Huang stuffed the fragment into Yun Chujia's hands. He was very pleased with himself. This way, no one could find fault with him. That was a divine artifact. Yun Chuzhou pursed her lips. All right, if that's the case, then thank you very much, Great-Grandfather Huang. Great-Grandfather Huang, today, we can be considered to be relatives. In the future, you can't just leave little Jiu alone if I have any trouble. For example, if I don't like someone and beat someone up, you have to protect me a little. Mayor Huang, great-grandfather. Relatives? What does that have to do with anything? When did he say that he wanted to take her in as his great-granddaughter? Great-grandfather Huang, why didn't you say anything? Could it be that there are still matters in Tianluo City that you can't solve? In just beating up a few people, and you're already in a difficult position? Didn't they say that you're the most dignified and capable among all the city lords in the Immortal Essence continent? Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes, she looked at Mayor Huang with a face full of suspicion. Of course. This Tianluo City is under my control. If you want to beat people up, just beat them up. I'll take care of everything for you. It was a matter of face, Mayor Huang did not have the time to think about his great-grandfather anymore. All he needed to do was to pat his chest and prove himself. Thank you, great-grandfather Huang. Little Jiu will take her leave now. Little Jiu will come to see you again when she has time. All right. Mayor Huang waved his hand, indicating that Yun Chuzhou could take her leave now. After a full quarter of an hour, Mayor Huang finally realized that something was wrong. He was the one who had asked Yun Chuzhou to interrogate him about the spirit stone mine of the Fan family. How did he manage to get it? Not only did he lose a fragment of the divine weapon, he even turned it into the little girl's protective umbrella. Chapter 2406, Think of a way to kill her. Mayor Huang thought about it carefully. It seemed that everything started when he mentioned old Master Yi. That little girl first asked him for a greeting gift, and after extorting a fragment of the Great Void Mirror from him, she took the opportunity to call him Great-Grandfather Huang. After that, she made him wear a high hat, and he was tricked into becoming her protective umbrella. The more Mayor Huang thought about it, the more aggrieved he felt. He was the Grand Mayor of Heavenly Luo City, yet he was tricked by a little girl. It was a great humiliation. No, he must find a chance to get back at her next time. Yun Chuzhou naturally did not know the resentment in Mayor Huang's heart. Of course, it did not matter even if this guy knew. After all, she had obtained the fragment of the Great Void Mirror. This fellow counted with his fingers. She already had 7 fragments of the Great Void Mirror. As long as she found another one, the repair of the Great Void Mirror would be completed. At that time, she would become the only person in the immortal Yuan continent who possessed a divine artifact. Just thinking about it was awesome. Although this fellow could not wait to fuse the fragment of the Great Void Mirror with the Great Void Mirror, it was not the time yet. He could only wait until he returned from the Yi family. Yun Chuzhou hopped to the entrance of the mayor's residence. Yi Bingyu and the 10 guards were waiting anxiously. Little Jiu, Mayor Huang didn't make things difficult for you, right? Yi Bingyu asked nervously. Yun Chuzhou smiled and shook her head. Why would great-grandfather Huang make things difficult for me? He even asked me to come to the mayor's residence more often in the future. Yi Bingyu, what the hell was great-grandfather Huang? Where did he come from? Could it be that Mayor Huang was the long-lost brother of great-grandfather? Even after the two of them left the city and got on the flying spirit tool, Yi Bingyu still couldn't figure out how this great-grandfather Huang came about. Yun Chuzhou naturally wouldn't tell her in detail. After all, it involved the Fan family's mine. She only said that Mayor Huang saw that she was smart, so he decided to protect her in the future. Although Yi Bingyu felt that the matter was somewhat strange, she felt that it was normal for anything to happen to this pervert, so she did not continue to ask. 4 hours later, the flying spirit tool arrived at the Yi family. Old Master Yi felt that it was fortunate that his old heart was still healthy. Otherwise, this great-granddaughter would be dead and alive. She would definitely suffer from illness. Old Master Yi naturally made some inquiries and asked housekeeper Fu to arrange a welcoming banquet at the dining hall. After Yun Chuzhou came out of Old Master Ye's study, she went straight to Xiaohua Garden. 4 maids and 2 old ladies were waiting at the entrance of the courtyard, looking very respectful. Yun Chuzhou waved her hand and entered the courtyard. There were no changes in the courtyard or the house, and the house was very clean. The news of Yun Chuzhia's safe return naturally reached the ears of Gushi, Lu Shi, and the others, especially Lu Shi. She even received a voice transmission talisman from her big brother, which recounted the story of how Yun Chuzhou extorted money from Lu Jimawan. Lu Shi was so angry that she gnashed her teeth. Yi Bingying, who was at the side, said coldly, "Mother, we can't let Yun Chuzhou live. You must think of a way to kill her." Lu Shi sighed. Why wouldn't mother want to kill her? However, the person that Xingtian Academy arranged was so unlucky that he was struck by lightning. He felt that this was a warning from the heavens. No matter what, he wouldn't dare to harm that little bastard. What nonsense! Mother, then should we just let it go? Not only did she humiliate me, but she also humiliated Jin Luan. Are we just going to let her be arrogant like this? If she was allowed to continue like this, I think, maybe the second branch will ride on top of our big branch. Yi Bingying said with a sneer. Chapter 2407, Yi Xinwan and Fan Sushue. When Lu Shi heard Yi Bingying's words, she said coldly, "Humph. The second wife is simply dreaming. How dare a destitute family who doesn't have a son fight for the position of the family head? Mother, although that's what you said, great-grandfather and grandfather both like that Yun Chuzhou very much. Who knows, they might come up with something. Besides, it's not like second aunt can't give birth. Who knows, it might happen one day." Yi Bingyu knew that the position of family head was Lu Shi's Achilles heel, that was why she said that. Sure enough, Lu Shi's expression became even colder. After a moment of silence, The corners of her mouth curled up into a cold smile. Bingying, mother has thought of a good idea. A few days ago, I heard from your grandmother that your aunt is going to bring Su Shui back to stay for a few days. She should be able to arrive today or tomorrow. At that time, you should think of a way to make Su Shui and that little bastard have a conflict. Your aunt has always hated that bastard's mother. When that time comes, your aunt will take care of that little bastard without us having to do anything. Although your aunt's surname is Yi, she is now a member of the Fan family. Even if they kill that little bastard, your grandfather and great-grandfather would not dare to say anything. Yi Bingying's eyes lit up as she said excitedly, Mother, you're really amazing. This method is great. You can kill that little bastard without being able to trace it back to us. This is really great. However, Mother, I heard that the Fan family and the Chow family are currently in a fierce fight. Why did Aunt bring Su Shui back at this time? I reckon that they can't help much even if they were there, so they might as well come back and hide in peace, Lu Shi guessed. Just as the mother and daughter were talking, a maid rushed in. First Madam, eldest Miss, Great Aunt and Miss Su Shui have arrived. Lu Shi and her daughter looked at each other. They had arrived at just the right time. The two of them changed their clothes and hurried to the living room. Logically speaking, Yi Xinwan was just a married girl returning to her parents' house to visit her relatives. Old Master Yi and the others did not need to come to the living room to see her. However, the Fan family was a super aristocratic family, while the Yi family was only a first-class aristocratic family. In terms of status, the Yi family really did not dare to neglect Yi Xinwan. Thus, Old Master Yi, Yi Yuanliang, and the others all went to the living room. Gushi and the others did not need to say anything and also all arrived. After Min Shi arrived, she realized that Yun Chuzhou had not arrived. Her heart moved. It was likely that Gushi and Lu Shi deliberately did not inform little Jiu. The Min Shi said to Yi Bingyu in a low voice, send a message to little Jiu and tell her to hurry over. Otherwise, it won't be good for your aunt to pick a fight. When Yi Bingyu heard this, she quickly sent a message to Yun Chuzhou to inform her that Yi Xinwan had brought Fan Sushue. Over here, there was naturally a lot of small talk in the meeting hall. Yi Xinwan's demeanor as the madam of a super aristocratic family was well presented. Fan Sushue was even more arrogant. She even gave a perfunctory salute to her elders. She was unwilling to come to the Yi family. The people she usually interacted with were the direct daughters of super aristocratic families, so she did not care about the people of the Yi family at all. Gushi's triangular eyes were filled with smiles. These days, she could be said to be full of grievances. Now that she finally had someone to support her, she was naturally in a very good mood. Although Old Master Yi did not really like Yi Xinwan as his granddaughter, the situation was stronger than the others. The Fan family was much stronger than the Yi family, so he could only say some polite words perfunctorily. Yi Xinwan swept her gaze over and then said, I heard that the Yi family has another first-wife daughter. She's really putting on a big front. Even when her biological aunt is back, she actually doesn't come over to pay her respects. Chapter 2408, Yi Xinwan's residence. Yi Bingyu quickly explained, Aunt, little Jiu might not know that you're back. I've just sent a message to her. She should be coming over soon. Bingyu, where are your rules? How can you interrupt when the elders are speaking? Yi Xinwan glanced at Yi Bingyu unhappily. She had never liked the wooden Yi Zhiyong. She didn't even like the people from the second branch. Now that Yun Chuzhou was involved, she naturally disliked the second branch even more. Yi Bingyi's face was flushed red. If it wasn't for the fact that she was used to being beaten by Yun Chuzhou, she would definitely go berserk. Min Shi grabbed Yi Bingyi's hand and signaled her not to say anything. Yi Bingyu could only blush and not say anything. Gusher's heart was extremely comfortable. Her own daughter was still the most considerate. Once she returned, she would help her vent her anger. When that little bastard came in a while, she would suffer. Old Master Yi narrowed his eyes. He was such a shrewd person, so he naturally understood everyone's plans. He hoped that little ninth girl would not be too willful. Otherwise, he would really not be able to openly fall out with Yi Xinhuan, even if he was an elder. Great-grandfather Yi had already made a plan in his heart. If little Jiu was wronged, he would find an opportunity to compensate her in the future. He could not lose the greater good for the lesser good. Although everyone continued to chat and laugh, they all had their own thoughts and were all waiting for Yun Chujio's arrival. 15 minutes passed, but Yun Chujio did not come. An hour passed, but Yun Chujio still did not come. Fan Sushue was impatient. "Mom, we have been sitting in the flying spirit tool for such a long time. I want to wash up." Lu Shi quickly said from the side, "Xinhuan, Sushue is right. You should go to the guest room to rest first. We will have a good chat when we have time in the future." Although Yi Xinhuan wanted to teach Yun Chujio a lesson, she still felt sorry for her daughter, so she said, "All right, then we will go and wash up first. By the way, these things are a little gift from us." Yi Xinhuan gave the gifts to everyone. In order to show that she was favored in the Fan family, the gifts that Yi Xinhuan brought were naturally very valuable, so everyone was very happy. Lu Shi and Yi Bingying accompanied Yi Xinhuan and her daughter to the guest house. On the way, Yi Bingying seemed to say to Fan Sushue unintentionally, "Sister Sushue, if it was before, I would have vacated Xiaohua Garden for you and aunt to live in. Unfortunately, Xiaohua Garden has changed owners now, so I can't make the decision." Fan Sukshu's impression of Yi Bingying was passable. Hearing her words, she asked, "Change owners? Isn't Xiaohua Garden your yard?" Yi Bingying smiled bitterly. "It used to be my yard, but ever since Yun Chujio came, Xiaohua Garden has become hers. Even though she only came back to live for 3 days every 2 to 3 months, great-grandfather still asked me to give Xiaohua Garden to her." Yi Xinwen's expression was gloomy. She recalled some of the past events. Back then, Yilan had been in the limelight. The courtyard of a concubine's daughter was even better than the courtyard of a legitimate daughter like her. She then recalled the letter she wrote from Gusher. That little bastard actually used a knife to force Gusher. This was simply outrageous. The more Yi Xinhuan thought about it, the angrier she became. She said to Lu Shi, "Sister-in-law, we're not going to stay in any guest house anymore. Let's just stay in Xiaohua Garden." Lu Shi's heart was filled with joy, but on the surface, she said with some embarrassment, "All right. Anyway, little Jiu will be back to the academy after staying for 2 days. Let's go there directly. I'll let her stay in the guest house." Lu Shi could have sent a letter to Yun Chujio first, but she had to bring Yi Xinhuan and Fan Sushue there directly just to make the conflict escalate. It would be best if Yi Xinhuan killed that little bastard directly. Chapter 2409, A certain Jiu squatting on the roof. Lu Shi and the others arrived at the entrance of Xiaohua Garden's courtyard. It was quiet inside, and not a single maid came out. Yi Bingying knocked on the door and shouted, "Yun Chujio, Aunt Xinhuan is here. Why aren't you coming out to greet her?" Yi Bingying shouted several times, but no one answered, as if there was no one inside. Yi Xinwen's patience had long been exhausted. "Break the door open. I want to see what Yun Chujio wants to do." An old woman brought by Yi Xinhuan slammed the door of Xiaohua Garden hard. Unexpectedly, the door was not bolted. The old woman used too much strength and fell to the ground. Coincidentally, her front teeth knocked on a stone, it fell off immediately. The old woman's mouth was full of blood. She looked terrible. Yi Xinhuan did not have the time to pay attention to the old woman. She entered the courtyard and looked around. Back then, Yi Lan was insufferably arrogant. Even she, the elder sister of the first wife, had to ask a maid to inform her if she wanted to enter the courtyard. When Yi Lan was in a bad mood, she would immediately shut her out. Fortunately, she seized the opportunity. Otherwise, if she let Yi Lan marry into the Fan family, she would be even more arrogant. Lu Shi saw that there was still no one in the courtyard. She could not help but be very puzzled. Even if that little bitch Yun Chuzhou had gone out to hide, where did those servants go? At this moment, someone on the roof said, "Aunt, I'm here." Everyone followed the voice and saw a little girl squatting on the roof. Her face was covered by a veil. It was Yun Chuzhou. Lu Shi was stunned and then scolded, "Little Jiu, what are you doing? Didn't you see your aunt and sister Su Shui come? Why aren't you coming down?" "First aunt, I don't have enough strength left. I don't know why, but my face has a rash. It's not just me, but the servants too. I don't know if this rash is a pollen allergy or an infectious disease. I told them to stay in the servants' room and not come out because I was afraid of infecting you. Aunt, you'd better find a doctor to come over and take a look at us. Otherwise, it would be bad if we really infected you." After Yun Chuzhou finished speaking, she took off the veil on her face. Everyone saw that her face was densely covered with small rashes, and some of her face even had yellow water flowing out. Fan Sushue almost vomited in disgust. She said in horror, "Mother, we'd better leave quickly. Don't let this dirty thing infect us." Fan Sushue couldn't wait to jump out of the courtyard. She was afraid that if she stayed a little longer, she would be infected. Yi Bingying followed closely. She didn't want her appearance to become so disgusting and terrifying. Although Lu Shi and Yi Xinhuan had some doubts in their hearts, they didn't dare to take the risk. If it really was an infectious disease, then it would be terrible. Especially Yi Xinhuan. Fan Jichuan was very lustful. There were a lot of concubines in the house. If her appearance was ruined, there would be no way to keep Fan Jichuan. Therefore, the two of them could not wait to leave the courtyard. After running far away in one breath, Yi Xinhuan said to Lu Shi, "Sister-in-law, quickly find a doctor to take a look at her. If it's true, it's fine. But if it's her trick, humph." Lu Shi understood and immediately asked her maid to invite the doctor. Yun Chuzhou stood on the roof. After seeing Lu Shi and the others leave, she sneered, put on her veil and jumped down from the roof. This guy walked to the door of the servants' room. When he pushed the door open, he saw 2 old women and 4 maids squatting in the corner with trembling faces. Their faces were full of rashes. Chapter 24. Yun Chuzhou pulled over a chair and sat on it. She crossed her legs and said with a smile, "You know what to say later, right? Do you need me to teach you patiently?" The 6 people squatting on the ground shook their heads like rattledrums. They were wrong. They thought that Yun Chuzhou was just a little girl who lived under someone else's roof. Who would have thought that she was simply a devil? An hour ago, Shaohua Garden. After Yun Chuzhou received Yi Binji's voice transmission talisman, she rubbed her chin and blinked her eyes. Yi Xinhuan was the daughter of Gushi, and Gushi hated her to the core. Yi Xinhuan would definitely help Ji Shi vent her anger. Moreover, Yi Xinhuan probably hated Yi Lan to the core, and she would definitely hate her as well. Therefore, it was better to think of a foolproof plan. Old Master Yi and Yi Yuanliang were afraid of offending the Fan family, so they probably would not speak up for her. Unless she was stupid, she would go back to the living room to be tortured. However, if she did not go, Yi Xinhuan might come and find trouble. In addition, Lu Shi and Yi Bingying were instigating from the side, so it was very likely that they would use Xiaohua Garden to cause trouble. Xiaohua Garden was her mother's courtyard. No matter what, they could not let Yi Xinwan and her daughter live in it. It was definitely not possible to fight head-on. They had to outsmart them. Yun Chujiu rubbed her chin and pondered for a while. Then, she called the 2 old women and the 4 maids into the house. I know that among the 6 of you, there are Grandmother Ji's people and Aunt Guess people. I don't really care about these things. As long as you don't harm me, I can't be bothered with you, Yun Chujiu said slowly. The 6 servants looked at each other and opened their mouths, not knowing what to say. At this moment, they heard Yun Chujiu continue, "You must have heard that my aunt is here, right? None of you reported it to me. What are you thinking?" Yun Chujiu's had completely received Di Baiming's true teachings. The 6 servants immediately became terrified and hurriedly explained that they didn't go out and didn't know anything. Yun Chujiu laughed coldly. "If my aunt wants to move into Xiaohua Garden and ask me to move out, what do you think we should do?" The 6 servants looked at each other and thought, what can we do? Aunt is a member of the Fan family, how can you compare to her? I have a way to make her give up on the idea of moving into Xiaohua Garden. However, I need your cooperation. Are you willing or not? Yun Chujiu took out a large kitchen knife from her storage ring. As she spoke, she took out a whetstone and started sharpening the knife. Slash! Slash! The ear-piercing sound of sharpening the knife was like a life-threatening talisman, ringing in the hearts of the servants. They were sure that if they said no, this Yun Chujiu would kill them. Are you all mute? Are you willing or not? Yes, yes. The 6 of them stuttered. They had made up their minds. No matter what, they would first brush them off and then ask their masters for help. Yun Chujiu saw that the 6 of them had agreed, the corners of her lips curled up. Are you guys planning to secretly seek help from your master behind your back? You guys are really stupid. When your master sent you to me, you guys became abandoned. If you guys complain, it's just to let me suffer some punishment. I'm a person who holds grudges the most. As long as I'm still alive, I will kill you guys. If you don't believe me, well, just wait and see. Don't doubt my courage. After all, I dare to put a big kitchen knife on Grandmother Guest's neck. You, hee. Although the 6 servants did not know what hee meant, they were afraid. Chapter 24:11 The devil's sinister smile. The 6 servants looked at each other and saw the fear in each other's eyes. This Yun Chujiu even dared to threaten the old madam, not to mention the servants. Even if she killed them all, old Master Yi would probably only punish them. Do you understand? Those who understand stand on my right-hand side, those who don't understand stand on my left-hand side. I just want to see if my large kitchen knife can be sharpened quickly, Yun Chujiu said coldly while holding the large kitchen knife. The 6 servants immediately stood on Yun Chujiu's right-hand side. What a joke! If they stood on the left-hand side, their heads would be moved immediately. Yun Chujiu was satisfied with the 6 of them being tactful. She nodded. Since you are so tactful, I will give up on the first plan. I originally thought that you would be tactless. I plan to kill you and make a scene. This courtyard is full of corpses. I guess my aunt will not move in because she feels unlucky. The 6 servants' legs went weak, and they immediately fell to the ground. Was this person in front of them a human? This was simply a devil. How could she come up with such a sinister idea? Yun Chujiu glanced at the 6 people, she smiled and said, "You don't have to be afraid. Since you guys are so tactful, then let's carry out the second plan. Don't worry, the second plan is very gentle. It won't take your lives. The more Yun Chujio said this, the more uncertain the six people felt. What exactly did this little devil think of? I heard that there are some medicinal herbs growing in the spirit peach forest, right? Yun Chujio changed the topic and asked about the spirit peach forest. The six servants didn't know what Yun Chujio meant by her question and nodded stiffly. There were indeed some medicinal herbs in the spirit peach forest, but they were not very valuable. They just let them grow and no one cared about them. Yun Chujio nodded. You guys stay in this house. I'll go take a look around the spirit peach forest. After saying that, Yun Chujio left the house and went straight to the spirit peach forest. The six servants only sat on the ground when they could not hear Yun Chujio's footsteps. They looked at each other, but no one said anything. People's hearts were different. Moreover, the master behind them was not the only one. They were afraid that if they said something wrong, it would be used against them. They were very puzzled. Didn't Yun Chujio want to talk about the second plan? Why did she suddenly go to the spirit peach forest? What did she mean? Not long after, Yun Chujio came back. Why didn't you guys take the opportunity to escape? I was hiding in the corner just now. If any of you leave this room, I will directly kill her with a big kitchen knife, Yun Chujio said with a smile. However, her smile now looked like the evil smile of a demon before killing someone. It was so scary. The clothes of the six servants were soaked in cold sweat. If they were not on guard against each other just now, they might have gone out to seek help from their masters. It was so close. Yun Chujio pursed her lips in her heart. Of course, she did not stay in the corner, but it was still good to scare them. Yun Chujio took out more than 10 leaves in the shape of Lu Yi from her storage ring and said to the crowd, "Get the juice from these leaves onto your face and hands." Although the six servants were nervous, they did not dare to disobey. They followed Yun Chujio's instructions and got the juice from the leaves onto their faces and hands. After a while, the six of them felt that their faces and hands were extremely itchy. Then, they found that their faces were full of rashes and yellow water was flowing out from the scratches. Chapter 24:12, The Old Godly Doctor. The six of them were terrified. They kneeled on the ground and kowtowed non-stop. "Please spare my life, miss. Please spare my life. Don't be afraid. This thing looks quite serious, but it will return to normal after a few times of washing with the antidote. Moreover, it won't leave any scars," Yun Chujio said lightly. The six servants were all anxious and cried. "You said it so lightly, but it turns out that it's not your own face. Remember, when the doctor comes later, tell him that we accidentally touched a kind of herb when we were playing in the spirit peach forest, and then it became like this. Do you understand?" Yun Chujio held a stalk of spirit herb in her hand, the leaves on it were exactly the same as the leaves given to them. The six servants were already scared out of their wits by Yun Chujio. How could they dare not agree? They all swore to agree. Yun Chujio waved her hand. "You guys go to the servants' room next door and stay there. No matter what happens later, don't come out. Just leave it to me to handle." The six servants recalled what had just happened and looked at Yun Chujio in horror. One of the maids probably wanted to express her loyalty. She said carefully, "Miss Cousin, what if the doctor goes to the spirit peach forest to look for that kind of spiritual medicine? What if he can't find it?" Yun Chujio curled her lips. This kind of spiritual medicine grows in the spirit peach forest to begin with. How can it be impossible to find it? You must be old and blind so you didn't notice it. I found a few of them when I went there. Old and blind? Although the six of them felt that Yun Chujio's words were inappropriate, no one would point it out for no reason. All they were thinking was, could it be that there really was that kind of spiritual medicine in the spirit peach forest? Could it be that they really didn't notice? At this moment, Yun Chujio heard the sound of footsteps coming from outside the courtyard. This fellow rolled his eyes and said to the 6 of them in a low voice, "Be more careful. If your acting fails, it'll kill you all." The 6 servants nodded repeatedly. Now, even if Gu Shi and Lu Shi could guarantee their lives, they would not dare to offend Yun Chujio. Because they felt that no matter how powerful Gu Shi and Lu Shi were, they were still human beings. And the person in front of them was not human at all, but a devil. Yun Chujio looked out through the crack of the door and saw Lu Shi standing at the door of the courtyard. She did not come in, only an old doctor walked into the courtyard. Yun Chujio opened the door a crack and waved at the old doctor. The old miracle doctor who saves the suffering, here, we are here. Old miracle doctor. TSK, what a simple adjective. Although the old doctor's medical skills were not bad, he was far from being worshipped by others. Therefore, this was the first time someone called him Old Miracle Doctor. The old doctor was stunned at first, then he felt that his waist was no longer sore and his legs no longer hurt. He could eat 10 big steamed buns in one go. The old doctor instantly had a good impression of the little girl who was talking in the room. He made up his mind to cure her illness. The old physician pushed the door open and entered the room. There were 7 people in the room. 6 of them were dressed as servants. They seemed to be slightly trembling as they stood there. They were probably afraid that they would get some fatal disease. The other little girl was wearing a veil, but her eyes were as clear as spring water. She said in a clear voice, "Old Miracle Doctor, please help us take a look. We are suffering to death." Yun Chujio gave a look to an old woman. The old woman came to the old doctor while trembling. Chapter 24:13. They wanted to hang themselves. The old doctor looked at it carefully, then he said, "This is caused by the juice of the willow leaf and grass. Although it looks scary, it's not a big deal. I'll give you a prescription. Take some herbs and put them in the face washing water. In less than 10 days, they will be as good as new." A few servants were about to say according to the lines that Yun Chujio had taught them. Yun Chujio suddenly said, "Old Miracle Doctor, to tell you the truth, we deliberately got the juice on our faces. I didn't expect you to be so amazing. You actually found out the clues in such a short time. Your medical skills are really brilliant." The 6 servants were dumbfounded. What did she mean? Was there a change in the plan? Although the old doctor tried his best to restrain himself, he still showed a trace of pride on his face. He asked in puzzlement, "Little girl, why did you do this on purpose? The juice on your face is so itchy that it's unbearable. It's really torturous." Sigh. "Old Miracle Doctor, if there was any way, I wouldn't have done this. Although they are servants, I can't bear to see them suffer like this. Woo, come to think of it, I've really let them down." Yun Chujio's eyes turned red as she spoke. She actually started to sob. Those 6 servants had the expression of fucking dogs. They were shameless. You act again. You don't have the heart. Doesn't your conscience hurt when you say that? Of course, this little devil definitely doesn't have a conscience. The old physician saw that the servants' faces were distorted and their bodies were trembling. He thought, TSK, they really have deep feelings for their master and servant. These servants are probably too touched. Yun Chujio twitched a few times before she continued, "Old Miracle Doctor, although the family scandal cannot be exposed, I believe in your character. I'll tell you the truth. This courtyard belongs to my deceased mother, and it's also my courtyard now. However, my aunt and cousin want to occupy this courtyard, and they have a powerful family. How can I defeat them? Therefore, I thought of this method. I made my face full of rashes and lied to them that they might have contracted an infectious disease. In this way, they will keep a distance from me and won't have any designs on this courtyard." Hearing Yun Chujia's words, the old doctor said with emotion, "You are really a filial child. It's just that you are poisoned, not infected with an infectious disease. Old godly doctor, you must have a way to help us, right? You see that not only are your medical skills superb, but you are also kind-hearted. Please help us. If you don't help us, my servants, they are going to hang themselves in this yard to stop those people. Sob, I really can't bear it." The 6 servants were so angry that they almost vomited blood. Shameless. How could there be such a shameless person in this world? Hang themselves? You're the one who wants to hang yourself. You're the one who wants to kill us, all right? The old physician saw that the 6 servants all had expressions of anger but did not dare to speak up. He was even more certain that what Yun Chujio said was true. These servants were really loyal servants. How rare. The old physician frowned and thought for a moment, then, he said, "How about this? I see that some of your rashes have been scratched. The yellow water that comes out from the rashes is infectious. I will think about it and say it. I believe that they will not have any more designs on this place." Yun Chujio bowed deeply. "Old miracle doctor, not only did you help me save the courtyard, you also saved the lives of the 6 of them. You are really a miracle doctor who saves the suffering and saves the suffering." The 6 people also agreed with Yun Chujio's words, and the old physician was so flattered that his mouth was almost unable to close. "Old miracle doctor, this is just a small token for you to keep. It's not valuable, it's just a low-grade earth-grade spirit medicine," Yun Chujio said as she passed a wooden box to the old physician. The old physician saw that the wooden box was very simple and crude, so he did not pay too much attention to it. After he finished writing the prescription, he left the house. Chapter 24:14 Poison. After the old doctor left the courtyard, he heard Lu Shi shout, "Dr. Deng, did they get an infectious disease or something?" Lu Shi was afraid that the old doctor had something infectious on him, so she could only shout. The old doctor remembered what Yun Chujio said just now, and he couldn't help but feel a little disgusted with Lu Shi's behavior. He had planned to say it lightly, but now he said, "They are infected with the juice of the willow leaf and grass, so they have a rash on their bodies. Normally, those rashes are not contagious, but they have already scratched the rash. The yellow water inside is contagious, so it's better to isolate it." When Lu Shi heard the doctor's words, she could not help but take a few steps back. "Dr. Deng, how long will it take to recover?" "It depends. At least 10 days or half a month. If the situation doesn't go well, a month is also possible," the doctor said indifferently. A certain Jiu, who was eavesdropping in the yard, couldn't help but curl her lips. This old man still knows how to play freely. Not bad. This guy had already decided when Yi Xinwan and her daughter would leave her and return to Xingtian Academy, so as to prevent the yard from being occupied. As for Xingtian Academy, Jin Ji was usually there to help record the content of the lessons, so they could just listen to it when they returned. This fellow was completely not worried that Xingtian Academy would not approve the holidays. Otherwise, wouldn't the 3-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle's inner core be given away for nothing? Moreover, even if Yun Chujio wanted to go back to school, the people of Xingtian Academy would probably not let her go back even if they heard that she was in danger of infecting others. Lu Shi asked the old doctor about some other matters before paying the consultation fee and sending people to the pharmacy to get the medicine. Lu Shi turned around and went to the guest house where Yi Xinwan and her daughter were staying. She told Yun Chujio about what had happened. Yi Xinwan frowned. "Is that doctor reliable?" Could he be working with that little bitch to deceive us? Xinhuan, don't worry about that. Dr. Deng is famous for his bad temper. It's impossible for that little bitch to bribe him, Lu Shi explained. Humph. It's really too easy for her. In that case, let's stay here. Yi Xinhuan said unhappily. She originally thought that she could take the opportunity to teach that little bitch a lesson. She did not expect that she would be able to avoid it twice in a row. It was really detestable. Lu Shi smiled apologetically and said a few words. I've already sent people to follow Dr. Deng to get the medicine. Perhaps she will recover in a few days. When the time comes, just let her move out. Fan Sushue pouted at the side. Mother, since that little bitch is disrespectful to grandmother, why don't we do something to the medicine and make her face never recover? Yi Bingying's eyes flashed with joy. When she was chatting with Fan Sushue just now, she had mentioned that Yun Chujia's appearance was very beautiful, and Fan Sushue was indeed jealous. When Yi Xinhuan heard Fan Sukshu's words, not only did she not reprimand her, she instead said, Sushue is right. We cannot be merciful towards such a little bitch. Let's see how she can be arrogant in the future after destroying her appearance. Lu Shi said in a troubled manner, but, what if the old master finds out? That bitch is now quite popular with the old master. It's okay. I don't believe that grandfather would make things difficult for me over a bastard. The more Lu Shi said this, the more Yi Xinhuan was determined to make a move. Back then, Yilan had suppressed her everywhere. Now, she would let her daughter have a taste of being disfigured. Chapter 24:15. Let's make a bet, Xinhuan. I don't have any poison that can disfigure a person. If I only tamper with the food, I can only make her recover a little later. I can't disfigure her, Lu Shi said awkwardly. Yi Xinhuan sneered. She took out a bag of medicinal powder from her storage ring. Mix this into the medicinal soup. In a few hours, her face will start to fester. Moreover, it's useless even if you use the muscle regeneration pill. Lu Shi frowned. Xinhuan, I just remembered something. It said that that little bitch is a grade 10 alchemist. Will she discover that we tampered with the medicinal soup? Don't worry. This medicine is colorless and tasteless. That little bitch will not discover it, Yi Xinhuan said confidently. She had specially bought this medicinal powder at a high price in order to ruin the faces of several concubines. Hearing Yi Xinhuan's words, Lu Shi smiled and nodded. Then, she left the guest house with Yi Bingying. After the mother and daughter returned to Lu Shi's courtyard, Yi Bingying lowered her voice and asked, Mother, will this work? It won't implicate us, right? You should let aunt's people do it. Silly girl, although your aunt is a little simple-minded, she's not a fool. If we don't participate in it, how can she trust us? Besides, after this matter, your aunt's impression of you will be better. With her help, you will be able to have a better life in the Chaos Origins sect in the future. Moreover, your cousin Mingchuan has never taken a wife. Although our family background is a little inferior, it's not like you don't have the chance to marry a daughter from a higher family and a wife from a lower family. When you come to the Chaos Origins sect in the future, you will have a lot of contact with each other. Perhaps this marriage will come naturally. Lu Shi explained her plan. Mother, why are you saying all this? It's better to quickly settle the matter of the medicinal powder. Yi Bingying blushed. Although she had only met Fan Mingchuan a few times, she already had her heart set on him. Seeing that Yi Bingying was shy, Lu Shi smiled and did not continue to tease her. Lu Shi handed the medicinal powder to her trusted aide and asked her to settle this matter. At this moment, Yun Chujio was playing shuttlecock with the 6 servants. The 4 maids were still all right. After all, they were all young and loved to play. The 2 old ladies were embarrassed. They had not played for many years and made mistakes frequently. Yun Chujio was unhappy. If anyone can't catch the shuttlecock, she will not be allowed to use the medicinal soup later. When the two old ladies heard this, they immediately started kicking the shuttlecock with all their might. Fortunately, they were both cultivators and their movement techniques were still flexible. At least they did not make mistakes again. After a while, a maid at the door said, "Miss, I've left the medicinal soup at the door for you." Those maids were obviously afraid of being infected. After saying that, they ran away without a trace. Yun Chujio curled her lips and asked the servants to move the medicinal soup into the courtyard. Yun Chujio's eyes flickered, and she said to the 6 servants with a smile, "How about we make a bet?" The 6 servants were confused. This young miss was purely mentally ill. She would kick the shuttlecock at one moment and play a bet at the next. What kind of bet was this? Why didn't she quickly soak the medicinal soup? Her face and hands were itchy to death. Although the 6 of them kept cursing in their hearts, they didn't dare to show any impatience on their faces. They said respectfully, "Young miss, what kind of bet do you want to make?" Yun Chujio curled her lips. "I bet that there is something dirty in this medicinal soup. As long as you use it to wash your faces, you will be disfigured tomorrow morning." Chapter 24:16 Human lives are like grass. What? Dirty things? Disfigured? The 6 servants were really shocked, but one of the old women still dared to say, "Miss, this is Dr. Deng's prescription, how could there be dirty things?" Of course there is no problem with the prescription, but what about the person who brewed the medicinal soup? TSK, I really feel sorry for you guys. Although your master originally wanted to harm me, they didn't care about your lives at all. All of you are abandoned. Yun Chujio said with her hands behind her back. She shook her head and said. The 6 servants looked at each other. They were still a little suspicious. If something was done in the medicinal soup, wouldn't it be too obvious? Was the person who drugged them not afraid of being blamed by the higher-ups? Yun Chujio was too lazy to explain to them. She said lazily, "I'm also too lazy to explain to you. Well, just see the results tomorrow morning. Of course, if you insist on washing it, I won't stop you." As Yun Chujio said that, she took out the body of a windblade rabbit from her storage ring and threw it into one of the basins. The 6 servants looked at each other. Looks were a big deal, so it was better to be cautious. It wouldn't take more than one night to see the results in the morning. At this time, the sky had already started to darken. After Yun Chujio finished her instructions, she went into her bedroom. After she entered the bedroom, she first took out a basin of water and started to remove her makeup. The rash on her face was naturally not real. As she was covered by a veil and she was still on the roof at the time, Lu Shi and the others did not notice the flaw. After Yun Chujio washed her face, she lay on the bed and thought about the matter between Yi Xinwan and her daughter. Yi Xinwan and her daughter were different from Gu Shi and the others. They were in the name of the Fan family, so even the old master Yi did not dare to openly fall out with them. She could only think of ways to protect herself. Although there was an excuse for the rash, since they had already started to use poison, perhaps if they found out that her face was fine, they would use some sinister methods again. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. She was really unhappy being so passive. She had to think of a way to take the initiative. It was obviously not feasible to fight them on the surface. Since it was not feasible on the surface, then she would use underhanded methods. Yun Chujio thought about it and started laughing strangely. When the servants in the servants' room heard Yun Chujio's strange laughter, they immediately trembled. What kind of terrifying idea was this little devil thinking about? Could it be that she wanted to torture them again? At this moment, their intestines were turning green with regret. They had thought that working in Xiaohua Garden was a good job. After all, what ability could a little girl who had succeeded her have that she could fool her and not retaliate? Who would have thought that they were not facing the same person, but a little devil? Early the next morning, before Yun Chujio had even gotten out of bed, she heard an old woman's shrill scream. Yun Chujio roared angrily, "What are you screaming for? Shut up! I haven't woken up yet." After Yun Chujio's roar, the entire courtyard immediately quieted down. The other 5 servants heard the old woman scream and rushed over to take a look. They saw that the wind-blade rabbit's body was festering all over, and some parts of its body had even exposed its white bones. The 6 of them felt a cold breeze on their backs. If Miss Biao had not stopped them yesterday, the consequences would have been obvious. Not only would their faces be disfigured, their hands would also be destroyed. The rest of their lives would be wasted. They were both fearful and resentful. The one they were resentful of was naturally their true master. It was obvious that they had indeed become abandoned children. Human lives were as worthless as grass. The lives of their servants were indeed worthless. Chapter 24:17 The 6 servants sat on the ground and looked at the rabbit in the basin. No one said anything. Firstly, they didn't know what to say. Could it be that they were publicly cursing their master? If anyone heard them, it would be a capital offense. Secondly, the ancestor in the room hadn't woken up yet. If they woke her up, she might teach them a lesson. After an hour, there was movement in the house. A few servants scrambled to ask, "Miss, do you need me to help you wash up?" As soon as the words left their mouths, their eyes locked together. They had clearly figured it out. Since they had already become the abandoned children of the original owner, they could only gain the favor of Miss to have a chance of survival. Therefore, in order to compete for the favor, the few of them began to compete in their hearts. Yun Chujio naturally would not let them serve her. No matter how heartless she was, she did not feel that pleasing to the eye when she saw the maids with rashes all over their faces. After Yun Chujio left the house, she saw the rabbit in the medicinal soup bowl and smiled. This medicinal soup is not useless. Look, there's no need to remove the fur. It can be directly chopped and stewed into meat to eat. The corners of the 6 servants' eyes twitched violently. How dare you eat rabbit meat like this? Aren't you afraid of rotten intestines? Yun Chujio stretched lazily. Did you all see that? If it weren't for me, all of you would have become the same as this rabbit. Shouldn't all of you express your gratitude to me? For example, spirit stones, spirit tools, and the like. The more the merrier. The 6 servants were dumbfounded. Did this little ancestor mean to ask for benefits? Heavens, I've never heard of a master asking for something from a servant. Doesn't your conscience hurt? However, the 6 of them didn't dare to refuse. They gritted their teeth and gave Yun Chujio some spirit stones. Yun Chujio naturally didn't care about these spirit stones, but if some people didn't let her feel the pain, she wouldn't remember it. After Yun Chujio put away the spiritual stones, she glanced at the 6 people. If you want to live, listen to me in the future, or else you will be killed. The 6 people quickly knelt on the ground and swore to show their loyalty. No matter how nice you say it, it's useless. Let me see your actual actions. Now, you will howl and say that all of our faces are disfigured. The more miserable the howl, the more loyal she is to me. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said. The 6 servants couldn't figure out Yun Chujio's intentions. One of the maids said, "Miss Cousin, but our faces haven't been disfigured at all. If someone comes in to check, what will we do then?" Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips, she took out a few veils from her storage ring and handed them to everyone. When someone comes in later, hide your hands in your sleeves and put on the veils. Just follow behind me. Whoever wants to ask anything, just cry. However, don't worry. I reckon that apart from Dr. Deng, no one will enter the courtyard to check. Although the 6 servants were still confused, they did not dare to disobey. Now, apart from trusting the little devil in front of them, they had no other way to survive. The 6 servants began to howl, each more mournful than the last. Especially the 2 old ladies. They knew that they did not have the advantage over the other 4 maids in other aspects, so they could only perform in the howling. They raised their voices and howled as if they were slaughtering pigs. Yun Chujio was shocked. She thought that if these 2 old ladies were in the modern era, they would definitely have the potential to be sopranos. It would not be difficult for them to sing like dolphins. Chapter 24:18, Hug Me. The cries of the 6 servants naturally attracted the attention of many people. However, because their rashes were contagious, many people only watched from afar and did not dare to approach Xiaohua Garden. In fact, yesterday, when Min Shi and Yi Bingyu wanted to visit Yun Chujio, she was rejected by Yun Chujio. She sent a voice transmission talisman to Yi Bingyu. It only had 2 words, "Don't read it." Yi Bingyu couldn't make heads or tails of it, so she looked for Min Shi to discuss it. Min Shi smiled and said, "Looks like little Jiu is up to something again. She has a lot of ideas. Let's listen to her and not cause trouble for her." Yi Bingyu thought of Yun Chujio's perversion and felt that her mother's words made sense. How could a person who could even handle the city lord of Tianluo City not be able to handle a small rash? Lu Shi had already sent people to keep an eye on Xiaohua Garden. As soon as she heard the wailing inside, she immediately reported it to Lu Shi. Lu Shi's heart was filled with joy. She went to the guest house and told Yi Xinwan and her daughter about the matter. Yi Xinwan said proudly, "It seems that the people inside have already been disfigured. Let's see how that little bitch will show off in the future." Lu Shi echoed, "That's right. Her appearance has been disfigured. Even the old master won't value her anymore. Let's find a chance to kill her in the future. However, I still have to put on an act now. I'll go over and then ask Dr. Deng to treat them. Xinwan, he won't find anything out, right? Don't worry. It wasn't easy for me to get that medicinal powder. He's just a chief physician, so he won't be able to find anything out. He'll only say that they were caused by touching other poisonous herbs," Yi Xinwan said with some confidence. She had used this poisonous powder many times in the Fan family, and no one had ever found out about it. Hearing Yi Xinwan's words, Lu Shi nodded and left the guest house to the outside of Xiaohua Garden. "Little Jiu, what happened?" Lu Shi was afraid of being infected, so she stood at the gate of the courtyard and shouted. "Woo woo, aunt, our faces are all festered. Woo woo, we're all disfigured. I don't want to live anymore. Please come in and see me." Yun Chujio's crying came from the courtyard. The 6 servants in Xiaohua Garden looked at certain Jiu with a confused expression. A certain Jiu was the one who was talking about this little ancestor, right? "Little Jiu, don't get carried away. I'll send someone to get Dr. Deng right away. Something must have gone wrong. Besides, if you're disfigured, you'll be able to recover with the flawless muscle regeneration pill. Don't be too sad." Lu Shi wasn't willing to go in and check. It would be terrible if she was infected. "Woo woo, aunt, I'm so scared. Please come in and see me." "I really want to throw myself into your arms and cry. Otherwise, I'll go out." Lu Shi was so scared that her face turned white. She shouted while running, "I'll go and find the doctor for you now. Don't come out, please don't come out. Aunt, don't go. Come and hug me. Aunt. Yun Chujio stood at the entrance of Xiaohua Garden and whined. Lu Shi didn't even dare to turn her head back. That little bastard might not have any good intentions at all. It would be terrible if her face was disfigured by her infection. Yun Chujio sighed. She said to the servants who were watching the scene from afar, "Sigh. Why don't you guys come over and talk to us? Although we are disfigured, aren't we all wearing veils on our faces? You won't be scared. Come here quickly." The servants ran away one by one. Even the spies of Lu Shi ran away, afraid that if they were one step slower, they would be caught by Yun Chujio and thrown into Xiaohua Garden. Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips and returned to the courtyard. She said to the 6 servants, "See. Tell me, who else would suspect that we are not disfigured?" Chapter 24 19 Salt-free powder. The 6 servants were shaking their heads like rattledrums. After the little devil's torment, it was estimated that no one would come within a mile of Xiaohua Garden. "Miss Cousin, then what if Dr. Deng comes?" An old woman asked in a hoarse voice. Yes, she was howling too hard just now, so her voice was naturally hoarse. Yun Chujio looked at her as if she was looking at an idiot. "Dr. Deng has already helped us once, so naturally, he will help us a second time. That old man has already boarded our pirate ship, can he still jump off the ship and commit suicide?" Almost at the same time, a thought flashed through the minds of the 6 servants. This little devil was too wicked. Dr. Deng was really unlucky. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and gave a few more instructions to the 6 servants. The 6 servants looked like they had nothing left to live for and nodded their heads in frustration. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Dr. Deng had arrived. Yun Chujio asked an old woman to open the door and let Dr. Deng into the courtyard. Yun Chujio coughed and immediately, the 6 servants started crying again. "Old miracle doctor, save us. Old miracle doctor, my face is ruined. I won't be able to face anyone in the future. Old miracle doctor, will my face never be cured again?" The servants who were watching from afar heard the crying in Xiaohua Garden, and they confirmed that these people were really disfigured, and it was very serious. Dr. Deng was so shocked by the earth-shattering crying that he almost sat on the ground. He steadied his mind and said, "Remove the veil and let me take a look." Yun Chujio opened the isolation array and sighed, "Old miracle doctor, before you look at our faces, please take a look at this." Yun Chujio said as she asked the servant to bring out the medicinal soup bowl that was soaked with the Windblade rabbit's corpse. Dr. Deng was shocked. "Miss Yun, what? What does this mean?" "Old miracle doctor, this is the medicinal soup that you gave us. I think you should stop being a doctor in the future and change your profession to selling cooked food. With this exclusive secret recipe, shedding hair is simply too easy, isn't it?" Dr. Deng was so angry that his beard stood up. "Nonsense. How can the prescription that I gave you have corrosive effects? This is impossible. Old miracle doctor, if you don't believe me, I still have a few pots here. You can try putting your hand in." Yun Chujio said as she took out the remaining few pots of medicinal soup. Dr. Deng was so angry that his liver was trembling. Unless he was crazy, he would only put his hand in. Dr. Deng took out a special glove from his storage ring. After putting it on, he used a spoon to scoop out a spoonful of medicinal soup and smelled it. Dr. Deng looked puzzled. There was nothing wrong with the smell of the medicinal soup. He frowned and thought for a long time. Suddenly, he took out a herb with purple flowers from his storage ring. Dr. Deng threw the herb into the pot. Everyone was surprised to find that the small purple flowers on the herb had turned blue. Moreover, it was a cold blue color. Dr. Deng was shocked and angry. Someone added salt-free powder into it. Who is so vicious? Salt-free powder. Then, if you are disfigured by this medicinal soup, is there any hope for you to recover? Yun Chujio asked from the side. Dr. Deng shook his head. Salt-free powder is a forbidden medicine of a mysterious family in the far west region. This old man also happened to have an opportunity to save a member of their family. He once told me about this kind of salt-free powder. Salt-free powder is colorless and tasteless. Only this kind of purple blood forsythia can be tested. That person once told me that there is no antidote for salt-free powder. Moreover, the medicinal properties are very strong. Just a little bit of it can destroy a person's face. Chapter 24:20 What if the salt-free powder had an antidote? When the 6 servants heard Dr. Deng's words, they felt even more grateful towards Yun Chujio. At first, they thought that Yun Chujio was just scaring them. They thought that even if they were disfigured, they would be able to recover their looks with the muscle revitalization pill. They did not expect that the salt-free powder really did not have an antidote. Yun Chujio was very clear about their thoughts. She could not be bothered with them and said to Dr. Deng, "Old miracle doctor, there is no doubt that the salt-free powder was put in there by our residents. The purpose was to disfigure me. Fortunately, I have always been careful in my actions, so I did not fall for their tricks. However, there are only 1,000 days of being a thief and not 1,000 days of being on guard against thieves. I was afraid that they would come up with a poison plan if their plan failed, so I simply played along and said that we were disfigured." Dr. Deng had already guessed a thing or two when he saw the Windblade rabbit's corpse, so he was not too surprised when he heard Yun Chujio say this. Dr. Deng sighed. "But I'm afraid this matter can't be kept secret for long. Miss Yun, why don't you go and talk to Old Master Yi? Old Master Yi is a sensible person, so he will naturally protect you." Yun Chujio sneered with slight mockery. "Old miracle doctor, you also know that my aunt's husband's family is a super aristocratic family, the Fan family. Do you think my great-grandfather will fall out with her because of me? In this Yi family, I can only rely on myself. I can't rely on anyone." Dr. Deng was stunned at first, then he sighed. In a large family, the most important thing was the interests of the family. Family ties were really thin. What this little girl said made sense. "I'm afraid that Old Master Yi wouldn't be able to protect her." Sigh. "Miss Yun, then how do you want me to help you? Even though this old man sympathizes with all of you, if people were to find out that this old man had collaborated with you to cheat, I'm afraid that not only would this old man's medicine shop be unable to protect itself, this old man's life would also be in danger." Dr. Deng said in a troubled manner. The last time he helped Yun Chujio and the others to hide it, it was because it was a piece of cake. He was not afraid that others would find something wrong with it. However, it was different this time. Yun Chujio and the others had already told the public that they were disfigured, but in the end, their looks were still intact. If the person behind the scenes were to vent his anger, he would definitely not be spared. "Old miracle doctor, actually, this matter is not difficult to handle. Everything that you said happened on the basis that there was no antidote to the salt-free powder. If you had the antidote to the salt-free powder, wouldn't this matter be solved easily?" Yun Chujio said with a smile. Dr. Deng almost choked with anger. "Aren't you talking nonsense? If there was an antidote to the salt-free powder, would he be so bored that he would worry about nothing?" Dr. Deng said angrily, "Miss Yun, the salt-free powder doesn't have an antidote. Even the mysterious family doesn't have an antidote. How can we get an antidote? Isn't this nonsense? Everything in the world is mutually reinforcing and counteracting each other. Nothing has no natural enemies. It's the same for humans and everything else. Moreover, although the salt-free powder is vicious, it takes several hours to take effect. This means that its main medicine should be a kind of poisonous grass. I think that since the violet blood forsythia you just took out can be tested to be salt-free, it might be the nemesis of the salt-free powder. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes and said. Dr. Deng said with a wry smile, Miss Yun, although what you said makes some sense, but if the violet blood forsythia is the antidote, that mysterious family wouldn't have found it after so many years? So, it's impossible. Yun Chuzhou raised her eyebrows. Old miracle doctor, there's a saying that those who are in the middle of the matter can see clearly. They might really be riding a donkey to look for a donkey. If you don't try, how do you know that it won't work? Besides, we won't be exposed for 8 to 10 days anyway. You can go back and study it. If it doesn't work, you can report us again. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.